It's the road to April 11. The playoffs begin here in the NECC through 7 divisions. We are going into division number 2 to start, and it is between number 3 seeded Illinois Wesleyan versus number 6 seeded Maryland. From the booth, we say aloha, friends, and welcome into the NECC playoffs. Clutchkey alongside the Try Hard Ray with you as we get set for the round number 1 of these Division 2 playoffs. And Ray, I know very early on we're looking at these two teams, both of them with 5-2 records. Patch note just dropped, so very even and also very unpredictable when we talk about this match.
Yeah, they're two of the best teams we have to offer in the Division 2. As we mentioned, they're literally the 3 and the 60, but have the same record. That's how good this Division 2 is. So expect some high-flying, high-octane Overwatch from both of these teams. I mean, Illinois Wesleyan and Terps, they're teams who tend to be in that bottom half of like the top 25, where they go anywhere from 10 to 20 or 10 to 25. Sometimes they're in the top 20, sometimes they're out, but they're always in that mix. So these are going to be great teams and great games of Overwatch.
Yeah, and both of these teams also, if you're talking about map record inside of the regular season, 14 wins for both of them. Only 2 map played separately. 14-7 map record for Illinois Wesleyan, if we're not including the forfeit against Texas Tech, as well as a 14-9 record for Maryland, not inclusive of the forfeit win against UConn as well. And very similar losses as well, 3-0 losses and 3-2 losses. So these two are very similar if you're talking about records in itself. And now we head to the playoff scenario where the bracket kind of shakes out to the point where, yes, they are similar records, similar map records and all of that, but very early on you can see that these records kind of mean nothing to this point. And if you were trying to track brackets, I know we're in March, if you're trying to track brackets already, upset city, upset alert, number 8 Michigan inside of Division 2 defeating number 1 Cal Poly Pomona. Bronco Esports go down by a sweep by the hands of Big Blue. So Michigan underway here already, and that just kind of shows you that these playoffs are unpredictable.
Yeah, this is not a slight toward Michigan at all, but I don't think anyone expected a 3-0 if they were going to pull off that upset. So that is pretty insane that they were able to do that. As we have to also keep in mind that this is just the spring bracket. So the winner automatically gets to go to the Nationals bracket. And then the rest of them are going to have to go, face off in the last chance qualifier. So being able to make it all the way to the end of this tournament and get the victory and punch your ticket to it is going to be that much important. So Illinois Terps, it all starts with this first round victory. But this is going to be a hard match, but it's only going to get harder.
Yeah, it's only going to get harder from here. The uphill climb begins for both of these two teams. Again, if you're looking at back in the history as well, these two teams only have 2 losses. If you're Illinois Wesleyan, back in Group A, you're looking at losses to UCLA 3-0 and Cal Poly Pomona 3-2. And UCLA, by the way, not even in this top 8 bracket as well. So a loss that hurts Illinois Wesleyan in the end. In the meanwhile, if you're Maryland, losses to both Redbird Shikigami U a 3-0 sweep. They're currently at the number 2 seed. And then against Michigan, 3-2 loss there. But hey, that's not a bad loss if you're Maryland right now. If they defeat the number 1 seed Cal Poly Pomona, it looks a lot better if you're able to get at least 2 maps off of them at the moment, even if they're the number 8 seed. So besides that, we're going to go into our game here in only a couple of moments. Control, hybrid escort, push, flash, and then another hybrid escort depending on what the second map is in our map pool. But otherwise, going into this game, I know we've always seen, I know we were talking about it behind the scenes as well, what are these teams going to bring out today? And you're looking at something where everybody's saying, and I know Molly, who was supposed to be here today and I'm filling in for, said that, Malga meta might be dead, but I know you the other day said that we saw ESC and Malga ran over the competition despite having the nerf as well. So we keep talking about unpredictability, but man, I'm waiting to see what these teams pull out because, again, this is Division 2, second highest division inside of the NECC. They got to be cooking something, but with only the patch about 3 days ago, that it's not all set in stone and we're not all for certain just yet.
Yeah, so while we continue to talk about these teams, go ahead and just pull up those rosters. We can see them. But the thing is, as you mentioned, it's only 3 days old into this. So it is possible that while teams are still trying to figure out what is the best option, they're just kind of using Malga as a crutch until they really lock down the comp that they want to play. But I think it's not hard. We still saw, like, even at the top tiers, like OWCS style, we saw teams like Nightmare who saw the value in Orisa comps at times, saw the value in Ramatra comps at times. And I think those two tanks, at least in the sense of playing brawl maps and ground pound compositions, they'll probably take the place of the Malga.
Yeah, and we'll take a look and see what if these teams decide to just start punching each other too, or if we're going to see more manga. Again, very unpredictable in that story. We take a look at our map selection now for these two teams. First map is going to be Lijiang Tower, of course, El Clasico of all the control maps, and Terps banning out Oasis High getting a pick at the end. So Illinois Wesleyan and the Titans often running here with a map that both are got to be very, very familiar with, and every player in this game is familiar with as well. And this is one of the best, if not the best map to see what we're going to have for the rest of the game in the series. And it's just going to be a question mark as to what these teams pull out at the very get-go. Get that here inside of Lijiang and at the Gardens to start as well. So, let's have some fun here with environmental kills and all that. Not like impossible on the others, but just a map to do it and see what they pull out to start. It's going to be Ramantra versus Ramantra. Everything else pretty much different from the start of it, unless they switch right away,
Yeah, this is kind of what I was expecting with the Malga not being as popular anymore. Is Ramantra was already finding good success, was just only going to find more with Malga out of the picture. For Illinois Wesleyan, we have seen Thera becoming a main stake in a lot of these compositions, having that air control, and the new perk she's gotten has just made her so much more viable. So it's no surprise that we're seeing EXO roll up on that. The question is, where are these Sims going to go? Man, Cassidy coming out from Wavy, and we're going to see Jakizis going over to the Tracer.
Yeah, we'll see them try to make a little bit quickly for Jakizis as well as Lucio. So maybe a dive-in scenario for Terps. Meanwhile, they got to get rid of Afaro because they really have nothing to show for hitting that except maybe C3, who's got a chance on that secondary rail shot. Otherwise, yeah, it's very little pressure onto EXO at the moment, trying to dive right in, punching each other. Really no health bars falling low so far, but Kuzuyu with the lowest health bar right now, having to back off in the situation. EXO and Wavy back off, and actually as far as kind of off the map, gets a little bit of a booster, but Jakizis is right there to dive on top of the fire as Terps get the first point onto the board, and now they're going to try to see if they can still fight in this small room right now, just punching back and forth, trying to see if they can just hold on, but right now without the fire, Illinois Wesleyan's got no entry.
As we're going to need to continue to see plays like that coming out from Jakizis on the Tracer, because they're going to have more sustained healing for Illinois Wesleyan playing the Brig Juno.
Yeah, they have the Cassidy's off and running here. Wavy's got two already. That's both of the supports as well. Little healing coming to IWU. EXO gets one back, but that's to Tony. So who's going to be the more impertinent one? And right now, from the looks of it, Illinois Wesleyan gets the point.
Yes, that's going to be the issue for the side of Jakizis. Is you have to be able to apply decent pressure to EXO to help out C3E on this Sojourn, but you also have to try and avoid Wavy, because Wavy with that flashbang is just going to disrupt everything you're trying to do on the Tracer.
Let's see here for the Tracer right now coming up to Pulse Bomb. Wavy's already got a Deadeye available as well. Nothing to help that out though, like an Orbital Ray or a Rally to keep it alive for so long. 22% Jakizis in the background. Deadeye though is going to get sped up. See if it gets anywhere for it. Just running around. No Skull Bones just yet on it, so just released it. No perk either to reset that. EXO gets a boom off of the map onto Reformed. Of all people there, it's the Lucio that goes off the map by the blast of EXO. And yet again, another back off here. Terps don't have the entry right now.
As perks will be getting closer and closer to online, you always have to keep in mind with the Thera, the perk, where you can invert your boot, where you bring him closer in the middle. As Wavy is coming alive on this Cassie, my goodness.
Wavy comes alive. That's 2 kills picked off yet again, making a third one, pushing them all the way back. And now, Ray, you're looking at ultimates right now. IWU, all the pressure on the board. 4 check marks to it, coming up 3, but Terps just have no answer to this right now, especially EXO and Wavy.
Yeah, they traded out the Pulse for the High Noon earlier, so it's really going to be even ult trades, as Terps haven't been able to force anything, because Wavy was able to get 2-3 picks without having to commit any kind of ults. Here comes the Kitsune Rush.
Here comes Kitsune Rush out and about. Barrage is out at the same time too. Who's covering the Barrage is the better question, and that answer is nobody. EXO gets one. They clean up Hal's final fight territory only on 2 ults.
Yes, but you can say they traded 2 for 1, so you're going to be able to re-engage, and you'll have your Overclock, your Annihilation, and your Sound Barrier to work with, while Illinois Wesleyan only has that Rally and the Annihilation, so my eyes are on C3E. Has to find pickoffs with this Overclock.
Has to find it, but everybody falls low, and Wavy gets it again. So just online, IWU wants this win, and they want it badly already to start. The pressure's on, and they don't even get a chance to touch the point after that. 132 start here on Lijiang Tower. What a way to start for IWU.
Once again, that is the compositional difference with the supports that we're seeing out of the Ramatra composition. If you're Terps and you're playing the Lucio Kiri, that's fine. But you got to move fast. You got to move quick. You got to take advantage of the speed boost you have and get on top of these support players. You can't allow the Brig and Juno, the Brig Juno to continuously exist in the backline and keep their team up. And Illinois Wesleyan is just able to, you want to come to us? We'll take the frontline battle because we have a lot of heals we can pump in.
Even with the recent nerf to Juno as well, the ultimate cost being increased by 10% doesn't phase this team from IW just yet. And Symmetra's yet again to start us off. Jaquizas and Wavy will both swap back off to the Tracer and the Cassidy combination. We go underway between these two right now. And again, no pressure on EXO whatsoever. Wavy's been popping off, so Terps have to find an answer. They have the first response at the first click of the game, but otherwise after that, it was all IW this time. Titans do not want to let them have any breathing room whatsoever, getting rid of C3E early on, and pressure onto the point already. They'll unlock and they'll cap.
Yeah, C3E has gone over to the Cassidy. We have seen a support adjustment coming from Terps. They got Musahi going over to the Ana, which I like the idea of the anti-nades, but they just haven't been able to capitalize on yet. It's still early, so I don't think it's, we got to swap out this immediately. The problem with the Cassidy, though, is, if EXO's able to play space well, it's going to be tough to be able. It's going to be harder to take on the Fair with the Cassidy at times.
Yeah, composition swap now. Tony's going to go move on over to the Winston instead. C3 on to the Sojourn. Trying to make some pressure now, trying to dive maybe onto the backline, especially onto the Brigand of Juno, who's been untouched thus far, at least in the first fights of the game, and now trying to get onto the backline. Tony stuck right outside, does get a good Bionade off, and does get some good pressure out there as well, but Tony's in a whole lot of trouble thanks to the Hinder nade, that of the Cassidy, and now maybe moved off the map. They do get one for the whip shot, but it's 1-for-1 for the Brig for the Monkey, and instead it will be IW getting better wins here and making sure that C3 is stuck inside the Vortex.
Yeah, again, Illinois Wesleyan is just being able to play their positioning so much better. They're just allowing Terps to come to them and make positional mistakes, and they're capitalizing on it, allowing Tony to go in and then basically isolate him, put up a shield, block his heals, and then get the Winston down early, who's very vulnerable if you can't, focus a lot of heals on the top of him.
For Illinois Wesleyan as well, they've got a lot of check marks on the board, minus a rally. They're playing well with it. Now it's going to be the barrage that comes out at the same time. Lots of ultimates to be used. That's 3 ultimates on the side of the Titans. Could get them the win. Yes, they used the nano boost, but a 3-to-1 trade in ultimates gives IW the win and the fight win at 60% and rolling.
His EXO on this Pharah is just having a game. We saw the advantage of that perk coming in, being able to move as you're barraging in order to end up getting that pick onto the nano. Tony, as again, that was a decently expensive fight for Illinois Wesleyan, but they're able to keep their annihilation, and they're going to be coming up to rally. But Terps, lots of check marks for them too. C3 again, overclock needs to come through.
Doesn't come through in time, though, and doesn't come through at all because you already fall down, and it's going to be a Samurai round from Reform just to see if this team can find anything. The Annihilation is out, though, and that's just going to dash all hopes in the final 8% now. It's just Tracer running around, see if you can even get close to a final touch. Reform's dead, so you're the only one that can touch, but Mookie getting Jaquizas means that is a clean final point here on the night market. 136 of the Guard, it's 100-0. Titans make a big step forward to start the match.
I think that was a big, yes, we see the big flashy plays coming from the Pharah and the Cassidy, but EXO couldn't continue to exist in the skies and do all the things they're doing if they didn't have, Brig packs coming their way, if they didn't have Juno shooting at them. I just think the support composition they're running, it's not like it's automatically the superior one, but they're playing it the way it's meant to be played, and it's working very well. As I mentioned with Terps, with the Lucio Kiri, it just felt like at times they weren't, getting aggressive and on top of these supports. And even with the Lucio Ana, Ana necessarily isn't trying to rush in and get things done, but, I would have loved to see some aggressive anti-nades onto this backline as Tony's trying to jump in and make something happen.
Yeah, unfortunately, Grandma doesn't have a good set of legs to work off of and run in, but you do have some Bionades to work. Unfortunately, it just didn't seem like Musai got anything going with those, and in fact, for IWU, it felt like even if those Bionades landed, they could just push right through them, and all that pressure was on. EXO barely got touched, if anything. I don't even know if EXO got eliminated once in an entire round besides the first fight, if that. So just felt like nothing coming from Maryland, but they do have another chance to at least get this back. It is best of 5 after all the way we go. Hybrid Escort next. in the competitive pool, and we'll see what IW decides to ban out for the map coming up with loser picking, obviously. So this will be Terp's time to respond, but the time to respond they're going to need to, because only 36% garnered between two maps on both Garden and Night Market. That kind of spells trouble for you to start unless you're really, really good at adjusting.
Yeah, Illinois Wesleyan had been, sliding a bit coming into playoffs, taking a loss here or there, and but they're rebounding very nicely here against Terps so far. So good. The thing I do like about NECC is the loser will get to pick hybrid or escort. Then there'll be a map ban. Then there'll be a map pick. So it gives a lot of power to these teams to really turn things around. Like if you feel like you're more of a dive team, then you can be like, no, we're going to escort map 2. We're trying to make sure we can tie the series up. And we do know we will be going to escort. Not saying that's what they want to do is play dive, but that was just a coincidence. So we're just waiting on the ban from Illinois Wesleyan. But if I know anything about anything, the way I look at it is like if you're in the top 2 divisions, you got to be flexible. You're not just going to be one of those one-trick teams. So I think all teams are going to be good at reasonably good at all compositions.
Yeah, and the problem there, too, is, I mean, even if they were flexible, right, that Tracer did get some things done. Not a lot, especially in that second map, but especially when you saw C3 move over to the Cassidy instead. That felt, again, that Cassidy felt like it had no pressure. EXO was there the entire time. And Orbital Ray dropped. Perfect timing, by the way, if you're the supports from Illinois Wesleyan. Otherwise, that barrage does not exist. That perfect record does not exist on Night Market as well. So kudos to the supports at least putting their ultimates down on the floor where it was needed. So let's see where we're going to go up next here. It is going to be banned on Dorado at the very least, but the next map to pull out is Circuit Royale, a longer ranged map here. But Ray kind of leaned back in the chair a little bit, maybe a little bit of a questionable pick or something.
No, we've broken the curse. We've been on a curse of Legion Tower Kings Row. We have not been able to break the curse, and we finally have. And I think that's also, I was falling back in my chair too because I'm like, I have not seen Circuit in a very long time. And I'm just loving it because like it always opens the door for my favorite hero, which is Sigma. So that's always going to be a possibility to play with, double hit scan, especially on that first point defense. But I still think, teams are probably going to run it down with the Mauga. But I love the fact that we possibly could see Sigma.
I will also say, or do you hear music in your head all the time? Do you hum to random music?
Yes.
Yeah, you and I are both guilty of this. That's why I'm also a Sigma player as well. But we're almost ready to go here between these two teams. Again, both of these teams have a 5-2 record. Obviously for Maryland, down 0-1 against this Illinois Wesleyan team, looking for the matchup up against number 8 seeded Michigan. That's still something we kind of flabbergasting, if you will, up against Cal Poly Pomona, number 1 seed, 3-0 in a sweep. So Big Blue making some noise. And for right now, again, no swaps on either end. Same players that we're going to have on either side as we enter Circuit Royale. And again, just need some adjustments here. And maybe this is the curveball you want. Maybe longer range map, a little bit more, less open for far to work with, especially if you're running hit scans like a classic Widowmaker or a classic, even sometimes if see Ash here and Hanzo as well. So less chances for the FAR to make an impact if you're EXO. But again, like you said, got to in these top divisions, you got to kind of be flexible with what you've seen so far. Maybe the Sigmas come out, and we'll get our first look right now as we approach the first map of Circuit Royale. What's Illinois Wesleyan going to put out? No, it's not. It's Kuzuru going to start off on the Ramatra on the defensive end.
Which, again, the Ramatra compositions can be pretty flexible in how you want to run them. I don't want to say I don't like it because Illinois Wesleyan's a talented team. I'm sure they know what they're doing, but Zen Juno feels very rough to me. Like, they're going to be extremely squishy. It's not a lot of healing for your Ramatra, who kind of needs that pocket. So I'm a little worried about Kuzuru being able to stay alive. But, if EXO and Wavy are finding picks, then they're finding picks, and that's kind of how you're playing at this point. For the side of Terps, looks like they're going to play that classic, just double, sniper, Sigma, and they're just going to go to town.
Yep, Baptiste and Zenyatta. So basically the classic of the Circuit Royale. Even though I know in the dev update, when they updated this map or reworked, or I should say, at least changed the map a little bit, they said that they were trying to imply other compositions can play here. Well, Terps are going to say otherwise. They're going to try to play something of a classic situation here on Circuit Royale. They've got a couple of hits here. Reformed already up to 25%. No hits so far on anything, but they're giving up the space at least around the corner, which the pressure provides you with, especially with the Orb of Discord. If you're not able to get rid of that Zenyatta in time, it's no dice. Terps with a good start here, getting rid of the healer onto Sir already. That just means it's Zenyatta heals. That means Illinois Wesleyan's got to back off.
Yeah, this is what I was worried about, the squishiness of the backline, Juno going down early. And, you know, C3E doesn't have to continuously hit every single shot, but the threat of the Widow forces positioning away. And just as speak of the devil, C3E gets EXO out of the skies.
Yep, out of the skies. The Fire will sit down, stay down, refuel, back in the spawn room. Last 5 meters left to go. Any challenges here from Illinois Wesleyan got to come now, which means that Kuzuyu has to go in. Some low healing as well. Jaquizis is there. They'll cap another 2.5 minutes. Already 5 minutes and 15 seconds to play with, but they keep pushing on. They've already found 2 kills already, maybe a little bit more as they push on fourth, but no response from IWU so far.
Again, see, that's what I was worried about. I mean, Kuzuyu going down early, had to, you know, contest point, but the Zenyatta Juno isn't enough to really make things happen. I mean, Wavy's going to force Terps from playing as aggressive as they want because of those sights, but that's really about it. You're just getting free cart progress, and they pretty much capped that first point without anybody, you know, contesting the cart.
Yeah, little to no pressure at all for that first point, so 4:45 on the clock now. They get it up at least to the first turn. Here on the uphill portion, now this is where things get a little bit rough. Wavy does get a kill onto C3E on the mirror fight. Now it's going to be the App Matrix. Will it find anything through it? Accretion rates to it so that at least IW buys a little bit more time to get the damage off, and Kuzuyu and Wavy both finding their picks means that IW gets the switch and they get the win.
Exposed.
This is what we needed to see out of them. I liked EXO going over to the Genji, getting off that Pharaoh, and we already saw just with so much open sight lines, it's not much you're going to be able to get away with. And Kuzuyu now matching the Sigma. I felt like, you know, if it was Ramatra v Ramatra, it's one thing, but the Sigma, the accretion rocks can really bother the Ramatra. And I think at this point, it's just going to be the smart thing to mirror.
Here comes Terps again, trying to see if they've got anything to work with. Now, Mookie does have a Transcendence just in case Tony decides to use the Flux. Is that going to be enough? They also have Transcendence on the other side as well. Here's going to be the good Flux up. That is going to be the Transcendence out the counter, but it's still not enough anyway. So Flux kills in the meanwhile. So Zenyatta heals not enough for the damage that is from Terps right now. Orbital Ray comes out to see if it counters anything, but that now seems like it was a desperation move. It does trade out in the meanwhile for Terps, at the very least against IW, but now Mookie's stuck in a little bit of a corner. There goes Wavy, and there might go the point as well unless Kuzuyu feels brave enough.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be the smartest decision. I mean, you have a couple of players coming back, but I think the smart thing is just going to be able to give it up. And, oh, I think they went to touch it. They still gave it up. EXO goes down. I think they were too indecisive of what they wanted to do there.
Yeah, a little indecisive, and that means just 3 meters and free distance for IWU. They do have Gravitic Flux available still for IWU, holding on to it as best as they can, but now it's going to be a couple of swap ups. EXO off the Genji onto the Sojourn instead. Jaquizis will now move on over to the Venture instead. First look at the Venture here for this series, and nothing
stand the
otherwise.
Rock Muncher.
Yeah.
Stand the Rock Muncher. The Rock Muncher's great. Lots of off-angle pressure, too. It's almost like having a more mobile Junkrat, where it's like you can just constantly be on an angle and throwing so much damage down.
Yeah, and Molly's going to miss this. We know Tiny Shiny's going to miss this as well again. Clutchy filling in, but Tiny Shiny's the one that would be very, very amiss to see a Venture in the game. Now, Gravitic Flux does come out. That's going to force out the Lamp from Reform. Finally taken care of, but at the very least, nothing dies on the Terp side. Zenyatta, Venture falling a little bit low and falling way too far forward. Wavy takes advantage of the Gravitic Flux is up. That's going to capture at least 4 inside of it. It drops down. That's a fight win for the Terps, thanks to the Sigma of Tony. Big win and final stretch.
Just when you thought a reset was coming in with Jaquizis going down, in comes Tony, and he forces a trans!
Oh.
My goodness!
Transcendence gets forced down, so advantage to the Terps here, who have no ultimates on the board. They had C3 where they're overclocked, but Mookie's able to take care of that before any other damage gets dealt. But man, oh man, the cleanup, the forced out Transcendence in the unfortunate situations. Terps are looking a little bit different now. They go uno, dos, adios, completing the entire Circuit Royale, and now IDBU has to answer to that.
All right, I'm just going to point this out. This is not Glaze, but a 3+ minute time bank on a map like Circuit Royale is almost unheard of. That is craziness. This is one of the hardest maps in the game to end up getting a full map completion on, and to be able to complete it with over 3 minutes. I mean, basically, you get 4 minutes to start, so they only dropped a minute through the entire map. That's ridiculous.
That is super ridiculous. I mean, only 52 seconds under, meaning they completed that map in 4 minutes and 52 seconds total. No overtime actually needed. So, man, oh man, Illinois Wesleyan's going to answer to that. It looks like the way this is playing right now, right, that Ramatra start kind of just snowballed at the end. Yes, IW were trying to make changes all over, but at the end of it, they only won, probably, you could argue, maybe won one fight, if that's on a trade fight, but otherwise, Terps felt like they were the ones in command from the very beginning, and you face off against the classic of the Sigma plus the Widow and the Hanzo, well, things get a little dicey if you're not prepared for it.
And things get even more dicier for this defense for the Terps, because now they're going to have Jaquizas go over to the Sombras, so you're going to have that constant threat of the hack on your backline, especially when you're playing a backline of like a Zen who's very vulnerable to getting hacked and then followed up on. It's always something you have to keep worrying about if you're the side of Wesleyan.
So let's see if the pressure is on here. Illinois Wesleyan going for a little bit different here. They won't go for the Hanzo instead. We'll go for the Soldier. Up on the roof, C3 tries nothing there. Jaquizas, by the way, on the Sovereign. I'll see if this makes any difference, at least onto the backline. A little bit more accessible backline. Nothing to stun you except for an accretion too, or to stop you except for some random damage or an accretion, at the very least. And they're trying to put pressure on. Now, I know Terps had their advantages, and IW was back all the way around this second corner. Meanwhile, Titans are going around the first corner here, and they're making the pressure look a little bit easier. Terps, though, do regroup in the meanwhile, so no health bars fall low just yet. Near shot hits. Just in the nick of time. Exo's trying to find anything to search for, especially that Sombra, who's been making such a big deal out of this. But C3 right out of the peak zone. Exo goes down by the head, rolling across the floor. Now 3 minutes left to go, trying for another jump shot. Nothing lands there. Does get a little bit of a hit onto Wavy, who falls down to low health. But otherwise, right now, just trades here for the Sombra as well. They're just going to back off playing slowly.
Yeah, but you're playing a Sigma comp that can afford to sustain with a lot of cooldowns on the point. And Jaquizas will be back fast, and Musai gets the pick onto Wavy, who's going for a jump shot. The Zen volley is too strong.
Yeah, a little bit too strong, and as a Zen player as well, you love when those kills pop up on the field, on the feed. Just the volley successful onto a Widowmaker, but that's traded out. Exo does get the secondary shot onto C3, traded that out right away, though. Around the corner it goes. Defending team still at least with advantage right now, because they get rid of Kuzuryu. No tank, no shield, back off.
It just feels like every time Illinois Wesleyan gets a good pick, they get the Widow. In comes Tony, gets an exiting pick onto Kuzuru on the Sigma. Without your tank, even though you got a pick, there's no pushing that. If you kept your tank and you maybe lost someone else, there's a chance to push, but not without the tank. So key response pick coming out from Terps.
Got to be good here for Terps, especially. They have the Flux, they have the window, they have the Transcendence available. How's this going to go? That's at least 3 people up inside of the Flux. Immortality Field keeps them up for the time being, but that's still going to be a lot of low health bars. Terps do not take advantage of it. Instead, only the Immortality Field goes down for right now, and Tony actually goes down for it. Trades out, though, for Exo, so at least a 1-for-1 trade, but the bigger pick is the tank. No more shields coming for IWU, or for Terps, excuse me. But do they take advantage of it? Reform does use the window at the very least to stave off the pressure. Nobody wants to dive inside there. Jaquizas is falling oh so low as well. Titans might have found themselves an answer. Good headshot as well, but that Sigma's going to take a little while to come back, so they at least make some space for now. They'll use the Transcendence to dive in and keep this fight still alive here. Sigma doesn't get killed all too fully because of the shield as well, but it still is a Gravitic Flux up and about from Kuzuryu, who lands down, takes down Tony in the process. Tony goes down again. It's going to be time on the bank here for Maryland.
Yeah, but man, that just felt like so much more of a struggle than what the Terps are able to do. Like, the Terps kind of just like, let's just bring the cart to the point. And it felt like Illinois Wesleyan, you're coming out and you're drenched in sweat. You go, oh, all right, we made it. What's next? So they definitely still have a lot to go, but great first step getting that first point. They are going to swap over to a Winston comp now to try and help them take high ground a little bit easier.
Yeah, let's see if it does, though, because last time they didn't play Sigma versus Sigma. Things didn't go all too well, but maybe a little bit of a swap here does Illinois Wesleyan a little bit of favor, trying to get into that backline of the Zen and the Baptiste. Overclock gets popped here from Exo, see if this does anything. Gets rid of the Immortality Field for one. Lots of people lining up. Unfortunately, that's right behind the barrier for right now. Jump shot doesn't land up either. So Jaquizas now has a blade available. Jaquizas will use that blade. No rally to go for it. Is slapped and is taken down by Exo on the final blow. Mookie may have made a big play, but Tony might be even bigger here. That's 3 kills, include the accretion, include the Flux, and include the win for the Terps.
Yeah, as we saw swaps coming in from Illinois Wesleyan, Terps made some good swaps too. They had C3E go over to the Cassidy as Wavy went over to the Tracer. I mean, he's kind of been on the Tracer, but it's, swapped to it. So now you have the ability to try and stop those flanks easier with the flashbang. And Tony is just putting on a clinic so far on this Sigma. They have not been able to find a way to limit what he's been able to do.
Yeah, only besides that last fight on the first checkpoint here for IW. Otherwise, all been Tony, and it still will all be Tony here. Taking that Exo, C3 swaps on over earlier to the Cassidy instead to see if there's less pressure onto this Winston. Just fans the hammer away on a couple of shots. This Winston, no answer. Neither do the Titans.
You will be able to re-engage in this next fight, get Kuzuru probably to that primal because you can give them nano. And then if things go bad, you also have the ability to give yourself the rally. But Terps have so much to respond with as well. I'd be very worried about the damage you can lay down with this amplification matrix from Reformed.
Let's see if it does lay down any damage. In the meanwhile, Reformed does have an amp matrix available. Moosehide does have Transcendence just in case anything bad goes on. You can at least use it for saving grace, minus any Bionade shots that land from Mookie at the same time. Pulse Bomb comes out right in the middle of the window. Nothing there either. Transcendence out just to be safe. And now they're going to have the Deadeye out and about. Is it going to be enough time to catch the Winston in? Yes, it is. Through the window as well. Makes it enough damage to work for. Now the rally pops out. I mean, this is a rally with one down. Can Sir do anything off of it? Maybe you can. Exo does get a kill on, and they trade that out 2 for 2. Still, Tony is alive. Gravitic Flux is up. That does catch the Ana. Not the break, but the bigger one was the Ana there regardless. And now you've only got a Tracer and a break to worry about. Brig low health, little shield to work with. And now the Winston coming back into play, but losing her on a big there, and they stay alive somehow.
And they get the late pick onto Wavy as well, so you're going to have to wait a little bit longer without your Tracer to be able to go in. I mean, you're going to have a Primal and an Overclock to work with. This Terps kind of emptied out the bank. Mujakizis can look to redeem himself with his Blade, because last time we saw what Mookie did to him, so... Exo versus Jakizis is what I think this next fight's going to come down to.
Well, let's see, Blade or the Overclock. Who's got the better weapon and who's got better aim, better slash? It comes down to this finals fight territory already. No matter what happens here, Terps is going to have the better time deck. They may even be able to finish this off right now. First one to use this Overclock isn't able to get the jump over. And in the meanwhile, Jakizis and Moosehide find their picks onto both of the break and to the Winston as well. You can just call it right here. Illinois Wesleyan gives the Terps a run for their money in map 1, but instead, it's the flip side. Maryland ties up our series 1-1. We will see at least 4.
You talked about on the first map how Illinois Wesleyan, it was what, 100 to 36% or 200 to 36 total between the both maps. Very dominant effort. But you can say basically the reverse was on this map. Essentially, this was like a 200 to 36 domination. I mean, honestly, it's more of a domination. You second point held them on circuit, and you capped all 3 points with 3 minutes. Like, this was a complete turnaround from what happened on Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, an absolute turnaround again, like Ray was saying, 136 back on the Gardens, 100 to nothing on Night Market as well. This time around, a complete turn of fortunes. I mean, 3 minutes and 8 seconds on Circuit Royale already is insane. Then to hold up the fence on 1 point, basically a couple of meters as well, means that, I mean, Terps found their niche. And now if you're Illinois Wesleyan, you know you are going to a next map that does not allow Tony to play Sigma. That should be the #1 clue here so far.
Well, the next map will be, I think it's Flashpoint or Push. I can't remember which one is next, but it's one of those two, which they tend to not be very much so in the favor of the Sigma. But that tells me that going forward in this series between these two teams, I think map choice is going to matter a lot. So that's going to be one thing that we can keep an eye out on as the series goes on.
Yeah, we got to keep an eye on that too, because this is going to be just in a completely it's going to be an unbelievable series already. I know for me, a couple of times, I love seeing 3 Overwatch apparently more than anybody else, but 3, we know that the very best that any team can do right now is going to be a 3-1, and especially for the fact as well that you are looking at 2 teams that are 3-6, but the same map record, the same map, kind of very similar map records as well, I should say. Overall record, both 5-2, similar map records, 14-7 for IW, 14-9 for Maryland as well. So these teams are going to go tooth and nail here, even if it looks like it's a 3 versus 6 matchup. Yeah, map choice matters, compositions are going to matter, and as well as every single pick is going to matter at this point.
We have a series on our hands, folks. It is tied 1-1 as both teams have dominated their respective map picks. We are going to take a quick break. We need to catch our breaths. You guys need to grab a snack and a drink because we're going to be in for hopefully a 5-mapper. We'll be right back, folks.
Welcome back, folks. A wild series we have here so far between the number 3 and the number 16. Titans and Terps going at it here. Clutchy alongside the Tryhard Ray with you on the other side of the break as we get set here for map number 3 between these two teams looking to make their way up into the upper semifinals, up here in the upper grand finals, top 4 of each group now. And first map, if you want to reminisce down memory lane so far, 136 on the Gardens, 100 nothing on the night market, both going the way on Lijiang Tower for Illinois Wesleyan. Then we go to game number 2 on Circuit Royale, and what Illinois Wesleyan gave to the Terps are able to give right back to them. A 3-1 game on Circuit Royale with a 3-minute and 8-second time bank, 52 seconds under the standard 4 minutes given, plus all of that. So Maryland showing up on Circuit Royale, Tony popping off on that as well on the Sigma. So now we go to map number 3 here, which will be a push map between these two teams. And currently, Ray, I mean, this could go either way from the looks of it, because everybody's got one composition with the Ramontra versus Ramontra. We know then Illinois Wesleyan's on, but when the Terps go on to the Sigma instead, Tony's going to, puff the collar up a little bit, show up, maybe get some kills and here and there if he feels like it, just like, I got this. But either way, I mean, compositions look pretty good for either side. Question is, third map is the decider as we go on to our next map here.
Yeah, the pick ends up being Esperanza. So the Terps did ban out New Queen Street. So I guess they didn't want any like Wrecking Ball, Doomfist kind of divey shenanigans. But Esperanza, it tends to be pretty straightforward. I mean, the two most prevalent comps we've seen is like Malga, which has kind of been replaced by Ramatra, and then you see Winston. So those are the two main ones we see. The question is which flavor are these teams going to look to do? Because we've seen the Winston look out of Illinois Wesleyan, on that Circuit Royales. They were trying to find a way to break through the Sigma, and it had mixed results. But that also wasn't a very favorable map for it. From the Terps, we've seen Ramatra, and we have seen Sigma. So we don't know their capabilities of being able to play the Winston composition. So a lot up in the air for what to expect out of these two teams.
Well, let's see what we expect out of these two teams already. I mean, we have at least knowledge of compositions that they like, and we know EXO at least gets some more of a chance in the Pharah that was so destructive on that first map of Lijiang Tower. Didn't really get to play just because of all the shots that Terps were having, and of course the Sigma pressure as well means those rockets don't do much good of you or for anything. But as we take a look at the compositions again, Kuzryu and Tony both going the same way at the moment. Going Ramatra to Ramatra toe-to-toe. Wavy and C3E are only differentials right now on the Ashe versus the Cassidy. So one looking to stop, other looking to play a little bit longer ranged, if you will. But otherwise, I mean, I know you were having some concerns about the Juno Briggs situation here at least for the Terps. Now they're going to play it.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a great adjustment coming from them. The one thing I'm interested to see, so Wave is playing the Cassidy, C3E is playing the Ashe. So the Cassidy's going to be a much greater counter to the Tracer, so Jaquizas has to be a lot more careful. But the Ashe is going to be able to have a lot more sustained overtime damage, especially with those big dynamites.
Yeah, and especially if you get to the level 3 perk as well with a 40% increase in spread of the dynamite. Already one landing onto two on burning away the Ramatra and the Cassidy at the very least. And you can see C3 already up to 15%. Jaquizas up to 20 and 30% now as well. So fight continues on as the robot unlocks neither side, getting a push or shove to start. No, you can't go behind the counter. You cannot be a salesperson just yet, or you're not trying to steal anything in there. But just trading back and forth here, really nothing to talk about so far. It's just blow after blow around the tower here. But speaking of which, the blow starts from Wavy first onto Musai. That's a good start for you already. Like you said, better utility here for the Cassidy to at least make some shots and stop some tracers. And that will be at least IW getting the first push.
Yes, we saw already Jaquizas trying to apply pressure, decently well. But again, Wavy definitely puts that, makes you have to back up quicker than what you would hope. But, Jaquizas is also, closer to that pulse bomb. So you have to always keep that in mind as well if you are Illinois Wesleyan.
Yeah, and of course, here too, big one is if you win the first, or at least first fight, you're in a good position to win out the rest of the map. 8 minutes on the or 10 minutes on the clock makes a big difference though compared to regular 8. But now Pulse Bomb comes out, rolls just in the nick of time. Wavy's gonna turn around, flashbang, and Jaquizas just goes to bed. Wavy tucks him in, and that's a 30-meter lead now for Illinois Wesleyan, who have making sure Terps have no answers yet again. The Ramatra versus Ramatra looking like IW has the advantage.
Yeah, you're going to have the ability to touch here if you do so, please, because you can throw a Bob on the point, worst case, but they're going to give it up. They mistimed that a little bit as another orbital ray comes down.
Orbital ray comes out. Bob will also go into the middle over the orbital ray, kind of gets shoved a little bit back to the lane, with that orbital ray doing too much for the team, too much damage, too much pressure, and they're going to get checkpoint plus here, Ray.
70 meters and counting, and the more this goes on for the Terps, the worse it gets. I always say on maps, like Runa Sapi, that map, there's always a chance of teams coming back. But the rest of the push maps, if you get around that 100-meter mark very early on, it's always so hard to come back for the team who got ran on.
Yeah, it's really, really tough right now. A situation already. IW up to 75 meters, another fight win here, and that may as well give them probably the map unless the Terps can find a way to turn their fortunes right around with a couple of fight wins in a row. IW already have that under their belt. They are able to kite off the annihilations on either end, but now the orbital ray comes out from Musai, not in time for Reform to take care of any business there, and C3E also going down means this orbital ray is probably going to go to waste here. You've only got 2 left to go, which is just the Ramatra and a Juno, but as the robot runs away, so does IWU with the game.
again, Illinois Wesleyan has done a great job this map specifically of kiting away from ultimates, allowing Terps to take a little bit of space, but getting themselves back in a better position to engage with their own ultimates, as we saw, completely nullifying that orbital array.
Yeah, now Deadeye's going to come out from Wavy, see if this finds anything good for you. Walks around the corner, a little bit of a boost ring as well. That at least finds one. Reformed is not having some fun here right now, just dying early on. Wavy's got a headshot onto Tony that is traded out for a Tracer, but what's a Tracer to you when you've already got 100 meters to go? Titans, I mean, right now, making sure Terps have no answers to work with.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen C3E did swap over to a Cassie of their own, but at this point, feels like it's too little too late. I mean, Winston's now coming out, which feels, I mean, yeah, you can get on top of these supports, but you don't really have the follow-up because, Chiquizas has just, been facing down this Cassidy from Wavy time and time again.
Time and time again, this Illinois Wesleyan team has stepped up, but this time around, both breaks now down into the grave. Reform's not going to be the only one to go with, though. 4 kills already, 130 meters. They're going to clean up house, and they're going to clean up the game. I don't know if anybody touches here, considering the timing out of this. Lucio's not going to make it. Neither is a Keating, neither is a Winston. They will complete the map with plenty of time on the board. Illinois Wesleyan not dropping a single fight, and they're up 2-1 in the series. Match point coming. Okay.
Very, very, very dominant map coming off from Illinois Wesleyan. This is such an odd series clutch game. I'm sitting here we're 2-1, and it's been high octane, just so many big time plays, but it's like teams trading out blowouts. It's hard to say, man, one team is because you're like, wow, Illinois Wesleyan just did that, but then if you went back and watched the previous map, you'd be like, man, what was Illinois Wesleyan doing on that map? So it's very interesting just to see teams trading back. Absolutely, it'd be one thing if every single map was close and you're just like, oh man, it's just coming down to micro things every single map. But it's not. It's just one team coming in with a better plan on each map and dominating it.
Yeah, I think we're used to. If anything, close versus close, right? The end of that map should have been with no time on the clock, overtime, maybe 60 meters to 60 meters. That's what we're used to. If these games are
close versus close, or a blowout from one side to the other, not teams trading, blowing each other out. It's so weird.
Yeah, I mean, one's going to throw an uppercut right to your face, get back up, and then the other team's going to throw an uppercut to your face as well. Apparently, there's no blocking coming from either side if they're throwing punches. There's no blocking or nothing. It's just one dominant hit after the other. And if we go to map 4 and it's the same thing, yeah, I can clearly see attack seems to be better, I guess, for these two teams. There's no blocking. It's kind of like the NBA. There's no defense involved. There's only 3-pointers involved. Who's going to shoot better threes, I guess, and who's going to dominate more on it. So
he's like Mike Tyson's just going at it, just hitting each other with knockout punches.
Yeah.
Every time it's like, all right, back up, another knockout punch. Okay, now you get a knockout punch.
Yeah. It's just over and over again. I mean, just 2-1 your scoreline, but that does not tell you the story. This game doesn't. This game, no matter what you look at, doesn't feel close. 236 on Lijiang Tower, 3-1 on Circuit Royale. Esperanza completed map, and by the way, it took them only 4 minutes and 36 seconds to complete that entire map. It was 4 minutes and 36 seconds to win every single fight there and complete the map. And that was our producer who'd be telling us. And by the way, the word he only said 436 game, but game in capitalized letters. That's how quickly that ran, and that's how dominant it was for IWU so far.
Look, I'm just saying, okay, so we kind of got the series started around the 10 after the hour. We've gone through 3 maps and we haven't even hit the next hour. Normally in series where it's not a blowout, it tends to drag on. It's longer. This has been 3 maps back and forth, just quickly, maps just going, but it's not one team dominating. It's strange, but we do know what our 4th map is going to be. We're going to Flashpoint, so it's less likely we're going to see more Sigma, probably more Brawl coming onto the page because it's New Junk City.
Yeah, it's NJC, and if you're, this is the map pick here for Maryland. They were the ones to take this one. No bans involved here, but at the very least, right, for Terps, they have to find something out of this, because if they're going to run Brawl, they may be looking for something different, maybe not a Sigma in this case, because obviously Sigma doesn't run all too well here. But maybe they can find an answer through if IW is going to keep playing at least the Ramatra. You got to find an answer Maybe it's a Junker Queen, maybe it's something else, who knows? But they got to find an answer and now they got to respond in turn because they just lost the dominating map on Esperanza to the Titans, who only need one more to clinch the series and move on into the next game. Same rosters on either end. No substitutions, no nothing. We play the same exact way we do as we head into NJC. I'm excited, actually, just to see what the Terps pull out here, because if we're going by what the script says, Terps should be dominating this one, but then again, who knows? This is Flashpoint. This could go anywhere.
There is one thing to also keep in mind, with how talented these teams have been on their given maps that they've been able to pick. Nobody's eliminated yet, because this is the double elimination bracket for the spring semester. So each team, even if you lose, you have a chance to rebound, make some changes, and go through that loser's bracket. But again, with some upsets we saw with Big Blue upsetting, there's a lot of good teams that are going to be waiting for you in the loser's bracket as well.
Yeah, upsetting Cal Poly Pomona, Darko East.
Cal Poly Pomona, thank you. That's what it was.
3-0. Other games, by the way, going on that'll happen 3 days from now at the end of March 31st. Number 4, Southern New Hampshire Sapphire taking on the Banana Slugs of UC Santa Clara, number 5. So 4 versus 5 there, and a 2 versus 7 matchup here in Division 2 as well. Redbird Shikigami U out of Illinois State taking on Northwestern College. So 4 versus 5, 2 versus 7 coming up on March 31st.
Junker Queen, baby.
It will be a Junker Queen, like I said. Maybe this will be the difference here as they run the Lucio Kiriko as well to speed this Junker Queen in and to make her run rampant. Nothing to cleanse on IWU's side either if that Rampage were to come out, but Wavy starts it off already, taking down Reform, and that's just a punch out onto Kiriko as well. So despite what we saw at the beginning, maybe the composition changes and changes their fortunes. No, Titans say no.
But again, you're playing Lucio Curie with the Junker Queen. You need to be playing with aggression and getting on top of these squishies. And they just played so passive and let Illinois Wesleyan come to them. You can't play that way in this Junker Queen composition. You are going to fail.
Yeah, it just feels like whenever they have the Kiriko Lucio, it feels like it's more of a backup game in this situation. No flanks, no aggressiveness, no nothing. Jaquez is on the venture right now, tries to dive on in with the drill dash, nothing there. Will burrow, but can't get out of dodge there for right now. Does have the drill dash available. Will to try to take over the point. And here's the aggressiveness you were asking for. Gets at least the slash or the axe, but nothing on it so far. Wavy, again, Reformed as the first one to go down. They won't even capture the point for it. Instead, has to TP away, and that'll reset the clock, and that will reset the lives of Maryland. Yes, they get the flip in the meanwhile, but IWU is still putting their foot down.
For the side of Illinois Wesleyan, again, they're able to win these fights pretty decisively. You mentioned, they allow the point flip, but these points tick up very fast, and they have all their ults. They haven't had to use one, so Terps is facing a very, very tough uphill battle to try and flip this point back.
Yep, gotta get it back if they want to get at least the first neutral point underway. Deadeye comes out, walks out very quickly, does force the overtime clock out, and Illinois Wesleyan got a little bit too aggressive with it. They went through the door, doesn't realize that the point was being flipped, and now the orbital raise out, but the Rampage is going to be even bigger for it. It's just going to melt away everybody. Big Purple, that's everybody inside of it. The orbital ray, the Annihilation go for nothing on a Rampage and a Kitsune Rush. Terps will hold on.
Yes, this is what we like to see. This is what we saw Rampage early on, even when Juno was busted and so strong. We saw certain teams who played Junker Queen compositions, and they used Rampage as an anti-orbital ray ultimate. And that worked out beautifully for Tony and the Terps. And just like that, 67% and counting for Terps. So this is final fight for this first neutral point for both teams.
Yeah, final fight. See who gets the first point already here. Rally's going to come out. Rally gets knocked away for a couple of moments. Burrow and Drill Dash out, and now this very, very low Kuzuyu. Now they'll have the Tectonic Shock. Does this find anything? It will at least find one pick, courtesy of Reformed onto Kuzuyu. Reformed not the first one to go down this fight, and Jaquez dashes on in, makes this a little bit more difficult for IWU to make the comeback. For overtime clock starts to melt to half, and there is no chance of coming back from this one. Terps flip this point all the way around.
What a crazy turnaround, but Terps finally started to play with aggression on a Junker Queen composition, imagine, and they're able to make things happen. So now we get to go to Ducks for the next map, which this is going to be the interesting one because neither of these compositions thrive very well, because it's a lot of high low ground control.
Yeah, I mean, the Genji might be the only one with the verticality, otherwise, and maybe and Jakisis as well, the drill dash. Otherwise, verticality a little bit questionable for either of these teams. So high ground's going to be the first one to be taken over to start. Rampage inside there, gets 3. Mookie, Exo, and Kuzuru. Mookie doesn't even have a teleport nor a Suzu to take care of that. Just runs rampant again. And it looks like Tony's going to make some difference, and it will be first touch on this point on over to the Terps.
And again, that's just Tony being Tony. Like when we saw Terps absolutely dominating, it was Tony on the Sigma coming through with huge plays, and we see it coming again on the Junker Queen on New Junk City, her home map. Tony showing up for them, and now they have the Kitsune Rush they could use to continue to hold.
Let's see now what ultimates we have on the board. The only one is the Kitsune Rush out from the Terps. They're going to use it right in the small corridor, try to run down this entire team. Titans are trying to kite off of it. Do you have enough to kite for right now? Yes, you do. Full strength for Illinois Wesleyan to make their response, and Jesus throwing out. They'll probably switch places. In fact, Terps now have still high ground at the very least, but Illinois Wesleyan kiting off. Now they're going to try the same thing on their side of the floor. Ultimate for C3E available if you want to use that. Maybe as more of a zoning, if anything. Now it's just going to be a burrow out. There's the zone. There's the Deadeye. Deadeye might find at least one on the board if it keeps up. Now they have to kite away, but they also have a Genji separated out from the rest of the team. That's to the right side, and this Genji in a whole lot of trouble. And stays alive somehow, some way. Reformed, low on health. It will be the Kitsune Rush out. Burrow's just there to distract from the matter. And now it will be the Tectonic Shock out from Jakisis in the small backline. Has to burrow yet again. We'll keep this going. Deadeye out and about. See if this finds anything. Wavy will get one for it and will be annihilation. Overtime clock was there, but Illinois Wesleyan able to put their foot down yet again. Puts up the fence and puts the switch on.
99% gained for the Terps, so really all they have to do is come back and win one fight. So we're going to have dueling sound barriers for this next fight, but the key wrinkle in things, Tony is hovering very close to, once again, having that Rampage, which I think is just going to be the win condition to put themselves up 2-0. They have to use this Rampage to its full effectiveness. Get the sound barrier out early if you can from Illinois Wesleyan.
There's not even going to be sound barrier to use for Maryland in this case because they already take down Reformed and C3, and you're looking at the rest of the lineup as well. You were talking about dueling sound barriers. Well, if Tony gets 12% more, we're looking at another Rampage where if you get rid of a Suzu and rid of a teleportation, it's not looking like good news for you. Sir almost falling down, but able to get back up to the rest of the team. Good knife, but able to pull through the door. Rampage available for Tony now. Reformed also having it. Moose High also having the Kitsune Rush, but where's the rush? Where's the speed here? 85%, gotta go already. It's gonna try to be a block from Kuzuru, nothing there. Sound barrier used first by Reformed, then Sir right afterward, and it's going to at least be trading. And only one on the Rampage, but that's going to be good enough to try to touch the point. Wavy goes down, no Suzu for it either. C3 Reformed finding a pair of kills on either side. Terps are going to find a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, it's exactly as you said. Sometimes one is just enough with your ult, and they're able to get it done. Again, I think Moose High getting that Kitsune Rush up early as well was a big factor because they're able to get Kisuru down before the sound barrier. Sir was very late on that. Things might have been different if you're able to keep your Ramatra alive in the fight.
Yeah, it might have been a little bit different of a situation, but still, Tony just slashing away, just making that Rampage work. Even if you only needed one there, you got the one pick you needed for that team to not make any difference. And now the only ultimate on the board for Illinois Wesleyan is going to be the Deadeye, but Exo does get the blade up right now, so they'll have 3 ultimates to work with for the Titans. With 3 seconds left to go, they have priority on bomb flats. Point unlocks, and we are underway. Deadeye to start, actually, see if this finds anything from even the flying position or even as a kick-out position as well. They're going to play aggressively, and Moose High, none the wiser, dies to the hands of that skull. This is just going to be a fight win very early on, and a fight win that only needed one ult for IWU.
Terps did the right thing, though. They held C3E's high noon, and in the meantime, Jakisis got enough ult charge to where you'll be able to have an excavation for the next fight. But you're going to be facing down a Kitsune Rush, a Blade, and possibly an Annihilation. So, you know, because you had to use all the ults you did to get the second point, you're going to be in a deficit for these next couple fights.
Kitsune Rush is going to be used for Mookie to see if they can clear out this doorway already. Wavy's got Jakisis down on 3 assist help. And they are just going to use Kitsune Rush. And yet again, it's another one ultimate fight win for Illinois Wesleyan. Yes, Terps are holding on to their ultimates, but that means nothing to if you're not winning this point. But hey, I guess Titans are still trying to make the comeback here.
2 big-time ults still available at disposal for Illinois Wesleyan, and they've built up to another high noon from Wavy in the meantime. I feel like, again, these DPS, I mean, considering rushing over from Moose High as well.
Well, let's see, Kitsune Rush is going to come out from Moose High. Annihilation used by Kuzuryu as well, but Exo deflecting onto Moose High. Don't shoot a deflecting Genji, folks. Never a good idea. As Jaquizas, C3E still have their ultimates. Blade comes out from Exo. See if this makes a big difference at all. Tony, though, does get rid of Mookie, which means there is no Suzu, no big healing either, unless Sir comes up with a Sound Barrier. Now, Reformed is going to invest in Sound Barrier, thinking that Terps are still might lose this fight in this meanwhile, which is not a bad bet either, considering how low people are. Reformed and Tony get their picks, and the Terps flip it again at 99.
Yeah, just when you thought Illinois was going to get a point under their grasp, Reformed able to stay alive from that blading Genji of Exo, and then able to provide their team with the Sound Barrier to keep things alive and well. And again, these points tick up so fast. If you get a good rampage here from Tony, hold on to these DPS ultimates, you're looking to be in a really rough spot if you're Illinois Wesley. They got to take advantage.
Yeah, you're waiting for a Suzu in this case, and they're making it so that they're not even playing up right now. They're not playing fast. They're playing a little bit more back, meaning that this point is going to take up further and further. We might be in final fight territory. Tectonic Shock is also going to lead in. That's 3 people inside of the side lane. Nothing caught in for it right now. Deada's going to come out. That's a lot of damage. Tony uses red to stop before you can even dash forward with the Kuzuryu, with the punches drawn, but still the Terps are in command. They still have 2 kills for it to trade out for now. A little bit of a backup situation now. Genji's going to just dive right on into both C3 and Jaquizas, who's just going to make this a little bit easier. Illinois Wesleyan can breathe maybe a little bit more. Still have to make it back to up the hill. They do have the Wrecking Ball at the very least to try and stall out this point. Annihilation just to make sure there's any clearance on this. Still left to go with the overtime clock still up at the very least. They get the point back on the flip, but the overtime clock now goes their way. Reformed, on the other hand, gets the Genji on the backside, but Adventure goes down to trade. The Wrecking Ball still holding on, but very, very low health to work with. And not a lot of healing to work with either, because Reform's in the back and has moved away from the rest of the team. It's a point captured for IW. We move on.
Oh man, what a insane amount of situations and circumstances there. Terps almost pulled that off with the last second touch coming in from Tony on the Wrecking Ball, but Tony's not going to abandon that, go for the Junker Queen, which is what you expect. It was just last second touch. Junkyard is going to be the next point, which great for Illinois Wesleyan because they can just rotate over and take control of their positioning. Especially where they're going to be facing down double support ultimates coming out from the Terps.
For IW first, they're going to play with the Kitsune Rush to clear out the door yet again. Not a bad idea, not a bad start for the fight. Although Reform taking down Sir means that is a 1-for-1 trade. So what do the Terps want to do here? Do they want to play on it? They have the speed boost up, but Wavy's able to find a headshot, and heads will roll. The Lucio finds a bullet between the eyes, a couple of more punches, and a couple of more good damage points, and it will be IW to start this one off. Junker Queen can't do anything about it.
Yeah, Reformed going down as they're trying to make that push just stopped everything they were going to do, because, you know, you could have used Sound Barrier, you would have eventually had that Orbital Ray coming in. But again, Terps slowly building up to a full war chest of ultimates that they want to use to re-engage with. But, you know, Illinois Wesleyan, not to be outdone, they're going to have everything except their Kitsune Rush.
Kitsune Rush, the only one off the board for the Titans. 4 ultimates on the board. Otherwise, Samurai comes up in the nick of time. See if this does anything for Sir at the very least. And now Reform too. Reform using first. Deadeye's going to come out with the Orbital Ray from Moose High. Wavy finds 1 kill there and is able to almost find another one for it. Illinois Wesleyan's going to find themselves a fight win and potentially a point win as well if they can stagger up this Junker Queen too.
Yeah, I think they're going to get it. They do. Tony back to the spawn room. Point will now be captured as we're going to go 2-2. You can't say, though, that was an extremely expensive fight for Illinois Wesleyan. That was 3 ults engaged in that fight. Terps did use 2, but again, they had to use that extra third one. So as we move to the final point, this is what it all comes down to. Terps has to win this point or they are going to losers bracket. Illinois, you win this, you punch your ticket to the semifinals.
Yep, Refinery will be our last point here. By the way, that last point of Junker, the only one that did not go 199, 100-0 here on Junkyard in favor of Illinois Wesleyan. They've won the last 2 after Maryland won the first 2. So decider point right here must win for the Terps. Otherwise, they go into the lower bracket. Tectonic Shock starts it off this time, but gets stopped, hindered, flashed. Wavy takes it down. Deadeye comes down the middle of the lane. Genji will try to deflect this for a little while, but everybody kites out in the meanwhile for it. Nothing will be found, but that does zone out and clear out Tony does have a Rampage available, waiting for Mookie to maybe use it there, but also hindered at the same moment. Doesn't really matter, though, when two people were caught inside of it already. Annihilation just to get the bonus armor back. Illinois Wesleyan are going to find themselves in a fight win and a dive win here. They start off the point on Refinery.
Yeah, that was a devastating amount of circumstances, too, because you used both your DPS ultimates and the Rampage in that fight. C3E getting off the Cassidy, now going to go over to the Sojourn. But, man, it feels like that was the last gasp the Terps might have had. Not a lot of ults coming online either, as Illinois Wesleyan can just throw the Kitsune Rush and, maybe throw in a Blade, and they're looking really pretty right now.
Yeah, just the Terps that's going to have to find a miracle, bit of an answer here, and Mookie's already starting this off. They've already got two. Exo dashes in twice. They find Reformed and Tony. Now, if you're Illinois Wesleyan, you have a chance at another fight. You can't just stagger anyways. They don't stagger. They're able to regroup, get back into spawn point, but they got one fight left, Ray. This is it, and they don't have a lot to show for it.
Yeah, and they won once again. Illinois Wesleyan was just a single ult. So now you could use both your High Noon and your Blade for what should be this last cleanup fight for Illinois Wesleyan. The only thing you have to hope is this fight goes on long enough for Musai to get this Kitsune Rush.
Musai is the closest one to an ultimate. That is the Kitsune Rush. Otherwise, Reform still 30% away from it. Somebody's got to touch. They do. In the meanwhile, Tony is there. So is the Genji from Jakizas. Deadeye will come out first. Exo also having a Blade to work with. It is going to be the skull up, but dashes away just in the nick of time. Blade now comes out from Exo. This could do some big damage, slashing away. Sir also finds Tony at the same break point. Now it's a 5v6 situation. Kitsune Rush does come up in time for Musai, but does this make a big difference here? Because you miss out on Tony, now you're missing out on Reformed as well. You gotta hope a miracle, a couple of shots happen. C3E makes one happen, but can you keep him alive for long enough? That answer is no. It melts away. The last 2 points are perfect for Junkyard as well as Refinery. The Titans go dance into the upper semis.
As Illinois Wesleyan found their groove, they had a little bit of a blip on Circuit Royale, but we'll just call that, you're not used to scrimming that map all the time. Maybe you just don't feel like you can match up well in the Sigma v Sigma, but that's not something you're going to run into all the time. So I wouldn't be too worried about that if I'm the Titans.
Yeah, and looking past that as well, again, nothing doing there for the Terps. Only one map drop just based on Circuit Royale. Maybe some notes to be taken there for another scrim later on as they move on into the upper semifinals. Meanwhile, Maryland's got to play for the rest of their lives inside of the lower bracket after losing this. Now they move down to a 5-3 record overall from the season, including that. But just the highlights overall, I mean, it looked like they were so dominant here on Circuit Royale that you figured it may have just been, a little bit of a blip in the radar for both sides. And then we would move on into that third map of Esperanza as well. That was all IWU, but it just felt like maybe this map pick of New Junk City in the end could have gone Maryland's way. They find themselves 2 points in, and then the rest. IWU just reverse sweeps on New Junk City, which if you're Illinois Wesleyan, to go off and win the series on a reverse sweep like that on a map itself, gotta make you feel pretty good going into the next round.
Yeah, it's got to be feeling pretty heartbreaking for the Terps, too, to be that close to forcing a map number 5, and it just gets ripped out of your arms. And now, as you mentioned, you're going to be fighting for your lives in the lower bracket. But once again, as we continue to look over these highlights, just congratulations once again to Illinois Wesleyan. I mean, their players were so good. Their positioning in times when they knew to back out of situations, given an ult was coming, to re-engage, put themselves in really good positions for their ults. Big reason why they ended up winning.
Yeah, big reason at the end. They flip the point. They get the reverse sweep. Again, it was 199 on Arena, and which they won. They flipped it all back on over 199 on Ducks as well. And then as you went on over to Bomb Flats, it was 199 back to Illinois Wesleyan, and then the last 2 points, Junkyard and Refinery, 100-0. So there you see all the maps lined up for you in the final series score. Lijiang Tower 2-0, IWU 3-1 in return to Maryland, but then Wesleyan would go on, and the Titans would stomp their way forward 1-0 on Esperanza, and then a 3-2 reverse sweep on to New Junk City. So here's what the new bracket looks like. University of Michigan sweeping the Broncos of Cal Poly Pomona. They move up into the top, the upper semifinal bracket. Joining them there will be Illinois Wesleyan. Titans move on. Terps move down to the lower bracket. Other games to be played, like I said, 4 versus 5 of the Southern New Hampshire Sapphire team against the Slugs of UC Santa Clara. Then in the number 2 versus number 7 matchup, Illinois State University EK Redbird Shikigami U take on Northwestern College. That's how the upper bracket looks for right now. Go down to the lower bracket. Of course, losers will face off each other. Cal Poly Pomona taking on, I believe, the losers of that first match. And of course, the other side, Terps, will now have to play. If they can dominate like they did on back on Circuit Royale, they would at least have themselves a better shot. So, Ray, one last thing as we wrap things up here. I mean, we get to see two very, very good teams go at it, but, I mean, what would you say for Maryland to try to make a lore run here?
Again, I think it's just going to be nailing down those support combinations. There were times like they had Lucio on at one point on Night Market. I don't think, it's not really the wave right now, especially. They're going to have more time to play on this patch. You mentioned this patch is 3 days old at this point, 4 days old. So they'll have time and they'll have another week to figure this out. The one thing I will say about Illinois Western, you guys look great today, but I'm not trying to make any assumptions, but I think it's more than likely they're going to be facing Shikigami Redbirds Academy in round number 2. And we know what Shikigami brings to all of this. And now that they're coming to collegiate, Illinois Wesleyan, you better be ready for a smacker of a round 2.
Yeah, and of course, if you go back to their matchup as well, that would be a rematch back in the regular season, or excuse me, that would be a matchup that Maryland knows too well about. They lost 3-0 against Shikigami U in Group B, so Illinois Wesleyan, you got to be ready, like Ray said. We'll take a break, and we come back. Division 4, we move on to British Columbia, playing against their next opponent here in the upper quarterfinals. You're watching the NECC playoffs. We'll be right back. Another battle between 3 and 6. This time around, we go from Division 2 down to Division 4. Single elimination now into the bracket. It is win or the season is done. UBC, British Columbia Premier, taking on Carthage Firebirds. Back up here in the booth, Clutchy alongside the Tryhard Ray with you as we get set for another 3 versus 6 matchup. 3-1 between the two teams of Illinois Wesleyan as well as Maryland. That went on in Division 2 earlier on before the top of the hour here. This time around, Division 4, it gets a little bit more interesting. It gets a little bit, I would say, more fun down here because you never know what to expect when we play these games.
Yeah, as we pull up the bracket for this division, you also keep in mind that in the previous series, it was a battle of teams with the exact same records. So that was an interesting story to tell. It's a little bit different for our matchup today, as we see Cumberland Phoenix B has already, number 4 seed, taken their victory over SOSU Blue in a 3-0 fashion as they have moved on to face the winner of GCU and Oklahoma City Blue. Obviously, our matchup, we got UBC Premier going against Carthage Firebirds Red. And UBC Premier, they've been having a pretty successful season, all things considered. Number 3 seed, but they only have 1 loss on their record, and that was to the number 1 overall seed in Grand Canyon. While Carthage is a different story. I believe they're 4-3 right now, but I'll let you take this over, Klitschke, because their losses, they don't come off looking as good as you would hope.
Yeah, not as good as you would hope here. Carthage with a 4-3 record on the number 6 side. Their map record 12-11, non-inclusive of the forfeit win they had against Cornell earlier on in the season. Their losses, though, come at a little bit of a shock. Number 2 seed they lost to against the Patriots of the University of the Cumberlands 3-1. But then the other 2 losses, they lost against Oklahoma City Blue 3-2, who is the current number 8 seed inside of the bracket that you just saw. And then against a Mississippi State Maroon team, Bulldogs go on to win that 3-0 in a sweep, and Mississippi State not in these playoffs at all. If you were to look at the top 8 bracket, nothing there in these West Central group playoffs. So that one is concerning to a point, but Carthage trying to turn it around here in a 3 versus 6 matchup. But the records overall, like you said earlier, 6-1 record for British Columbia. Their match only lost to the number 1 seed, the Lopes of GCU, who no score there, but otherwise 18 map wins against 12 map wins and 11 losses for Carthage. So should signal maybe a little bit of a difference, but up to Carthage now to try to make up that gap in a 4-3 versus 6-1 record. This is going to be quite a little bit more of an uphill battle than we just saw against the other 3 versus 6 matchup. Carthage has got some space to make.
Yeah, so as we go ahead and talk about this matchup more, let's go ahead and see an overview of their rosters. Again, as we mentioned, UBC, you could probably say they're definitely favorites. I don't know if I go as far to say heavy favorites, but they will be favored in this matchup. 2 wins better. They've also had the more impressive loss on the season, just more impressive overall map record. With that, you have to start somewhere. We do know our first map, and once again, folks, we'll be heading to Lijiang Tower, classic Overwatch map number 1, as Busan was banned from Carthage Firebirds.
Yeah, last time around, first map that we had, Oasis was banned out. This time around, Busan gets banned out. Still with El Clasico, known as Lijiang Tower. Nothing really changes here, and before what we saw, and this was in Division 2, so we stepped down 2 divisions below that, what we saw was Ramatra v. Ramatra Comb EXO from the Illinois Wesleyan team was playing Afara, but again, with the patch only 3 days removed back on March 25th on the hotfix patch for this season, you have yourselves a little bit of a question mark as to what you're running, what the composition everybody is going to be looking at so far. Like you said, OWCS was a mainstay trying to see what people were running, but at this point, nobody knows what Division 4 is going to run. Nobody knows what people are going to bring out here, but from the looks of it, they're going in 2 different directions. Premier may have watched the last game, saw the Ramatra, but Carthage thinking they want to play a little bit more divey and even a different tank.
I'm curious to see for UBC, their composition. They're going with Ramatra, but they're also going to go with more of the speed version where they want to get on top of people pretty quickly. We saw this ran by Terps in the first matchup against the Briggs. The Brig Juno didn't go as well, but they weren't playing it to its full potential. As we see, I wasn't sure, but Carthage is going to come out on the Winston composition. The one thing I just worry about is when you dive in, being able to find some easy targets, as everyone's pretty mobile for the side of UBC.
Yeah, mobile for the moment. Better question is, can UBC handle the pressure that is this diver now? And Ferocious Pig very much melting away to the point of the team damage that is UBC. Punches and all being thrown. It is still a 4v5 though, still could be managed by Carthage, but losing out Shinbone just means that this point unlocks for UBC only to take it very quickly.
Yeah, that's the thing I was worried about, is for Ferocious Pig getting in there on the Winston, trying to go after these supports, but Thomas, you know, has that Suzu has the teleport, and then everyone's able to collapse on him, so it's tough sledding.
Well, they're going to have to continue the tough sledding right now. They do get Ewan out, but is it still enough? Because UBC still has a lot of pressure with Monster and Darkstar on the point, and unless they're able to dive this backline very, very easily, they're not going to get anything done. But as I say this, they do get something done. They find K-Bot, they find Monster, and all that's left is a poor Kiriko just to dive at the dash of Shinbone, and that's going to flip the point back to Carthage. They handle it well.
That time perfectly executed. Shinbone gets the early pick on to Ewan, who was on the Genji, who's now on the Tracer, and then they're able to follow up with a very well-coordinated dive, and they get on the backline. That's how you gotta be, is everyone on the backline. It can't just be the Winston, because we saw in the first fight, Winston's just gonna get blown up.
Let's see if there's more to be blown up here, because they've got a lot of low health bars on that UBC Premier side, but they trade that up for Ferocious Pig. The flip does go back to UBC. Can Carthage find a way to respond? Maybe not, because Thomas has already gotten down Jumpy Wizard, already having a TP out. That's the low health to get back into the game. You have a Kitsune Rush available on either side, but who's going to pop it, if popping it at all? Because now they're just kind of poking each other out, trying to find at least that stability, but who's going to hop in first? Who's going to find that first semblance of an attack? It's looking like it's going to be the Kitsune Rushes on either end to respond, but first to die is going to be Monster, who's already got just the head, or just dies by the hands of the secondary railgun shot. Darkstar now punching away for 2 kills. That trades that out. ZXC is going to pop the overclock, really to no avail here because of a very low health bar. Cannot peek out unless this Tracer dies to the hands of it. UBC is going to win the fights. Costed a few though.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the overclock to no avail, but it did force out K-Bot's sound barrier. So you're going to take that, and then Ewan with the pulse bomb there. So that was the 3 ult fight commit from the side of UBC when Carthage only committed their overclock and their Kitsune Rush. So I think you'll take that because now you can re-engage with a blade, and you have a sound barrier to sustain you through this annihilation.
Well, you're not going to have a blade to play with here if you're UBC, or if you're Carthage, because UBC just takes them down. You're not going to have a non-inclusive pulse bomb here. Trades down on either side, 2 for 2. Sound barrier available for Jumpy Wizard at 102 health. Not opting to use it just yet, even though there are a few health bars that are low. Doesn't need it anyways because you have the Primal Rage up to jumping about. It will hit 99, but Carthage able to stay alive.
Hey, that's just smooth sledding from the side of Carthage. Despite losing early on their player, they're able to come back and make things happen. And, you know, they baked the sound barrier and the sound barrier and the blade. All you had to use was Primal to take that back. So Carthage puts themselves in a great spot when it comes to their ult economy to re-engage, as Monster's going to have the overclock. Got to come through big if they want to flip this point and take this first sub-map.
You also got an Annihilation to work with as well. Meanwhile, Carthage has 2 to work with. Blade's going to come out first. No sound barrier to be inclusive of it. That's because you might not need it. You've already got 2 dashes. You got more slashes. Shinbone finds 3 on the board with the blade. And another one to clean up house. Team kill. First one of the game. Carthage holding on.
Slashing and dashing Shinbone, able to clean up that fight with only 1 ultimate commit. We talk about how big that can be to turn momentum and turn things on its head in these series. Jumpy Wizard, got to be careful. Already have health, got to make sure you stay alive to give your team a sound barrier.
Good pulse bomb onto the Winston as well. Ewan's got the open door here for UBC. Overclock is going to be popped as well. They will still hold on to the point, but not for much longer. Monster finds 3 on the overclock. Last one to die here is a Genji in the back. The Genji's going to have to dash into the point, has to use Deflect to even get in. That is a disruptor shot there. Sound barrier just for safekeeping, but you've used it a little bit too early because you still have the Wrecking Ball to touch. Kitsune Rush is also there too. It is UBC holding on to it, but Carthage still may be able to make the comeback. That sound barrier may just go for nothing here if everything falls in the way of Carthage, but everything has to fall their way, even though the Annihilation is out for 2 picks as well. UBC able to take a breath at the end of it. 100 to 93 to start on the Guardians.
Yeah, unfortunately, Jumpy Wizard died with the sound barrier in that second to last fight. I mean, I feel like there wasn't much you could do. It was a very well-placed pulse bomb on the side of UBC, but then the overclock comes out and is just able to clean up so many kills. Sound barrier isn't there to be able to help out, and, you know, maybe if you're able to lay that down onto your team, you're able to withstand that overclock and maybe re-engage in time, but all you can do is hope to make some changes coming into the next sub map, because all in all, we talked about how we feel UBC is going to be slightly favored. That first sub map was very close to Carthage. And to be fair, that was probably like not the best Winston map. Like, this is the most favorable Winston map they're going to be on.
Yeah, for Primal Rage at the very least.
For Lijiang specifically.
Lots of places to knock off. People with that Primal Rage can get back into the back line a little bit faster. But UBC with the lead, 183 back on the Gardens, or back on Night Market, excuse me. Now we head towards the Gardens here, where things get a little bit more dicey, at least on the dive side. But UBC's handling it pretty well, you would say. 2 kills already falling down. Shinbone's out as well. Big chunkier damage gone. CXC has some bear shots going as well. But again, UBC first flip.
Felt very similar to how the last sub-map went, where Ferocious Pig went in for a dive, didn't really have any follow-up, and just got blown up. How much you can do as a Winston by yourself going for dives. You need your teammates to go in with you to help with the damage output.
It almost feels like as well for Carthage that they're trying to find the back line first, although they're not melting the back line quickly enough. So for UBC, able to take advantage of that, especially on the tank side. Ferocious Pig diving in yet again, but no follow-up and no damage done. Darkstar Ewan finding up 3 picks total on their own, and UBC is going to hang on, and they're closer to ultimates, if anything.
UBC is just playing this nice, calmly, patiently, just finding isolation, whether it's ZXC on their own or Shinbone going for a dive. It just feels like the Carthage players, they're trying to dive, but they're just a couple seconds off from each other, and that makes a big difference.
Yeah, when you're on dive, you got to be really, really coordinated this time around. Look at it again. They're split up from each other here. Ferocious Pig all the way up in the front. No follow-up from the rest of the team. No dive, no nothing. You didn't even have a Genji with you. So that's just Ferocious Pig melting down yet again, and 60% enrolling. Here, this Lucio's going to fall down low. In fact, just falls over. And UBC is going to hang on to this for a little bit longer. Carthage just feels like they're super apart.
Huge shoutouts to our observer, Carol, who gave a great angle on that. So when Ferocious Pig goes in for this dive, the great thing from Darkstar Clutch is they are throwing down that Ravenous Vortex and limiting who can actually dive across this bridge with them. It's very smart, very smart.
Yeah, so that actually feels like it separates out the team a lot more besides the coordination. They try, but they cannot get in. Winston's got a lead. But if a Ravenous Vortex is there as well, they also will go ahead and use the Kitsune Rush alongside of the Overclock. Jumpy Wizard doesn't even have a sound barrier to use for this fight. Kitsune Rush does get one thanks to the help of ZXC, but otherwise, this is going to be a very clean point. No pressure, nothing from Carthage at all, despite what was a scrappy first point. 183 on the Night Market. Gardens, all theirs to keep UBC off and running 1-0.
Yeah, as you mentioned, after a scrappy first map, maybe UBC felt like they were warming up, but that second map, and as I mentioned, that was probably, the Gardens is the best of the 3 to play the dive composition, especially Winston. Just have a lot more area and a lot more room to work with to go for open dives. They absolutely dominate that map. Felt like it wasn't close, but again, as I mentioned, it was a really great job of Darkstar continuously looking to separate those dive targets, whether it's the Genji, whether it's the Tracer, being able to go in with the Winston, separating him with that Ravenous Vortex, so then they're able to blow up Ferocious Pig right from the get-go.
Yeah, and you can tell from some of the highlights as well, especially that first one, good call-outs and good comms from the teams, that there is a Kiriko in danger. Rest of the team comes back. And K-Bot with the speed as well, doing it out perfect. And at the same time, too, at the end of that last map that went 100-0 for UBC on the Gardens, Jumpy Wizard did not even build up to a sound barrier. That was just clean play, nothing built for Jumpy Wizard. The only ultimate you had online was Devo Online with the Kitsune Rush. That's the only support all. UBC using both their sound barrier and Kitsune Rush all, especially at the end of this map. You felt like there could have been a comeback point, but Carthage just couldn't pull it out in the end. And here's the one, like you said, Ravenous Vortex doing oh so much, separating out the rest of the team. It just felt textbook from UBC on the second map.
As this series progresses, UBC, they came out guns blazing, taking a nice 1-0 victory for Carthage. Especially that first map was pretty close, second map wasn't so. I feel like, the fact that we've seen them play Winston twice on Lijiang Tower, which isn't necessarily nefarious, well known for playing Winston. We're already getting the word in that Escort's going to be the next one. So I feel like if you're playing Winston on Lijiang Tower, you probably want to play Winston. Therefore, we're probably going to go to Escort. Therefore, I'm expecting either Dorado or Gibraltar, whichever one UBC doesn't ban.
Well, we know that at least for right now, you're safe from the Kingsborough curse, so we can put that on the side for a couple of moments. If you, I know you're happy about that. So Escort will be the next map. Yeah, then assuming right, they keep the Winston, they keep the dive. It's probably going to be a Dorado or a Gibraltar from the looks of it. We'll wait and see what UBC decides to ban out on the next map pick here for Carthage. In the meanwhile, too, other games going around here in Division 4. If you're wondering, a couple of other games. GCU, Oklahoma City University Blue, looks like that wraps up. Grand Canyon with the win, 3-0 there. And then, of course, University of the Cumberland Patriots taking on the University of Denver Pioneers right now. That game also going on at the moment. And like you said earlier, Cumberland Phoenix beating Southwestern Oklahoma State 3-0. Still waiting on 2 matches here, including ours. Looks like the ban is going to be Circuit Royale at the very least for UBC. That's what we're getting at in a moment. We'll get the map for you, but I mean, for what was a very scrappy first fight, you didn't really feel, like you said earlier on the Gardens as well, that was the best opportunity to play dive, and yet all the answers came the way of British Columbia. All the UBC right there just taking on over the point and making sure that they have the right picks at the right time. And again, no Sunbear coming at all. That just shows you that this firepower of UBC, there is a clear gap going on right now, especially after that second map.
Yeah, just to give you guys also some quick updates, there's 2 brackets for Division 4, so give you updates on the second bracket. Anna Maria College 3-0'd Wright State Raiders in the 1 versus 8 matchup. Drexel 3-0's Terps Academy in the 4 versus 5 matchup. And then the other 2 series, we got the 2 and the 7, North Georgia against University of Waterloo, currently 2-2 in a map 5 banger.
Ooh.
And the 3 versus 6 seed, BU Red versus Messiah Esports, also 2-2 in a map 5 banger. So lots, I mean, we got blowouts and then we got map 5 bangers for that bracket. Very interesting.
No 3-1s as of yet, except for the game that we had earlier on in Division 2. So that's, that, I mean, so we've had 3-0s, or we've seen 3-0s in the bracket. We've seen a 3-1 here on stream. Let's see what this next map here is for this team out of, or for this team, not UBC, but can Carthage make the comeback here? Havana will come up next. So not what we expected here from this dive team of Carthage right now. Instead, it's Havana, a little more sniper heavy for this first point at the very least. But yeah, I mean, not Dorado, not Gibraltar. That's kind of shocking to me.
Another map where you expect, the possibility of a Sigma coming out. We saw, Nightmare love to play at a lot of the OWCS teams. Did favor that when it came to this map. But we've also seen Ramatra on this map as well, and some of the more brawly styles of play. But as we mentioned, a little flabbergasting given the fact that they've been playing Winston this whole time to take us to a map like Havana.
Yeah, to go to Havana, we will go. No swaps on either side. Monster, Ewan, Darkstar, Thomas, K-Bot on the UBC Premier side. Carthage still showing up. ZXC, Shinbo, Ferocious Pig, Jumpy Wizard, and Devo online. You had Shinbo with one big highlight there earlier on inside of that map as well for Carthage on that first map. But otherwise, the rest has been UBC thus far. So they will swap sides, actually. Carthage on the defensive end to start. UBC confident enough to start attacking here. So let's see what they pull out to start for Carthage and see if we change things up. And like you said, exactly, this lines up for a Sigma. Exactly Sigma we will get. Maybe not a BAP Zen, but it will be a Juno Zen to start. Shinbone yet to pick. Trying, I guess, to still decide what's going on here. UBC in the meanwhile. Sigma versus Sigma. Let's see if we get Shinbone on the Genji once again. And yes, he will go.
Clutch, I don't get to cast with you as often as I would like to, so I like to pose this question to a lot of my co-casters. If you're in a tournament like this, right, and you dominate first map like this, and you get to pick attack or defense for second map, are you of the mindset where you want to go attack and you want to just go eviscerate, get all 3 points, get a big time bank, or are you the opposite, where you want to just defend and first point hold them?
I'm a defense first hold point. It's a shorter game, right? You don't have to, it's not as long of a game. Maybe you want to, and of course on the defensive end too, you want to make a statement, right? So I'm a defensive first. I'm a defensive first person.
You're one of the people who agree. I love that. That's my theory too. I love it.
I think if you're going to attack first, you're trying to make a statement, and you're trying to at least put up what are numbers, I guess you could say. You're trying to pad the stats on your series games, but right now, padding the stats, not looking all too great. It was the ZXC that got the first kill onto Ewan. And, I mean, Ewan was, I believe, on the Sojourn earlier on as well, so not Monster. So I could be wrong about that, but still 3 minutes and 20 seconds, 40 seconds gone off on this point. Just trying to make do with at least who's got first pick, and of course that Widowmaker dying first is always a signal of at least space being made on either end. There's the accretion already being used, as well as the kinetic grasp, and Monster getting the secondary Rogun after shot after ZXC falls in the middle of the disruptor shot. Again, folks, do not shoot. I said this in game number 1. You never shoot a deflecting Genji, and Ewan makes the mistake. Shinbone gets the kill on the other side of that, but still a 4v versus 4 trade. Kinetic grasp takes up the disruptor shot at the same time too. So much pressure coming from Carthage. They start off on the fence side first.
As this is already giving very similar vibes to our previous series, where first map doesn't go well for Terps, and they bring us to a map where Sigma is very heavy, the double sniper, or snipers in general, are very strong, and Carthage looks like a whole new team on this defense.
Well, Kitsune Rush is out. Transcendence is going to counter that out from Jumpy Wizard. Here comes Gravitic Flux. That's going to find at least the Kiriko upstairs, who has to use the Suzu. Suzu's good enough to keep the Kiriko alive for the moment, but not much longer. ZXC is there to find the kill. Kinetic Grass isn't going to keep you alive for much longer either. That's going to be the team falling down from UBC, and a completely different team for the Firebirds.
Again, man, the Firebirds, ZXC has been absolutely insane. And the follow-up that they have for Shinbone to allow them to finish off these kills and get those dash resets, it's just looking very good. I mean, you will have a big-time sound barrier here if you're the side of K-Bot, so they have a lot to sustain here to deal with this Blade.
Gravitic Flux is up. That's only going to capture the Sigma for right now, but the Sigma going down in the middle of it means no more shields, no more protection for you either. Ewan, ZXC makes the mistake onto Ewan instead as well. Sound barrier comes out from K-Bot just to see if there's any security, plus Shinbone was using the Blade. Not enough, though, for K-Bot to stay alive, but it will be an overclock. Also popped here from Monster just to secure it, so ultimates, big ultimates used on either side. UBC gets a push.
I still think there's an opportunity defensively to touch, maybe, but I think the smart thing is just going to be to give it up. As I say that, they are making the chance to go touch.
Yep, they are going to go touch here. 2.51 meters left to go on the clock, as again they're just pushing this up, kind of scrappy fighting and trades off, but Shinbone getting you into start on the match, and no more shields either thanks to Darkstar falling, so they already have to back up. Good decision to touch. It lands up on a defensive hold for Carthage with 40 seconds left.
This is where things get very, very interesting. So we're going to get basically a Kitsune Rush and a Blade from the side of UBC. Carthage, they will get their trans, so they should be able to outlast a lot of it. And then sneakily Ferocious Pig very close to the Gravitic Flux, as Darkstar getting off of the Sig now, going over to the Ramatra.
Going back to the comfort pick that they had earlier on just to try to dominate. Might not even need much more other than that, but you got to be careful of an Orb of Discord. Got to hide behind cover, and a good volley as well from Jumpy Wizard to take down Thomas. Means we're even up here. It's going to be Gravitic Flux up, paired up with the Transcendence to keep the Sigma alive. And there's going to be no Kitsune Rush coming. There's going to be no ultimates coming here either for Carthage or for UBC. Carthage on the defensive end first. They're able to stave off all the pressure from UBC. No points, 86 meters coming up.
Listen, you like to say, you know, you're in a great spot. Good chance you're going to win this after such a great first point hold. But I say that, but then I look back to OWCS when Nightmare got first point held against Team Liquid. And then they did the fuller hold on Team Liquid on this exact map. And it basically flipped the series on its head as Nightmare went on to win the NA division. So you never, ever know on these escort maps whether the fuller hold comes through or not. I've seen it plenty on this. I've seen it on Rialto. Seen it on Shambali. Escort's a tricky one.
Yeah, you always figure that there's a comeback scenario in every single case, and the fight that turned it around right there, the contest, I should say, earlier on. And even if Darkstar went on over to the Ramatra, just as Zenyatta Orb of Discord makes things a lot harder for Darkstar to just run right in. Even with the Kitsune Rush in, you have nothing to counter out the Orb of Discord, and even if you were to run behind, that's still kind of a few seconds wasted away for the rest of for the rest of Carthage to dive in. So here we go with the defensive side of UBC. They will stick the Ramatra in as well. They'll stick with what they had earlier on. Problem is it's on the defensive side this time, so this may make it a little bit tougher.
I do think they feel like they're not going to win this Sigma mirror, so they got to come up with something. And it's just really going to be about applying pressure onto Ferocious Pig and not allowing them to have a lot of space to work with. And first point hold, kind of like what they're doing here.
Yeah, they're trying to hold this around, not
Or
even
hold
the first
spawn, I mean,
corner.
yeah.
They're trying to hold spawn, but they're already going to have to back up because, again, that Orb of Discord provides you so much pressure. Unless the Zen is gone, Darkstar's not going to have the greatest time if you keep peeking without going behind a wall and making sure that Orb of Discord is gone for 7 seconds off of you. But it's still on Darkstar. Darkstar cannot approach whatsoever because this Zen still has sightlines on it. Already falling down to low health, and Ewan's falling over as well. Darkstar might go next. Jumpy Wizard finds 2 picks already with the Zenyatta. It's a bloodthirsty Zen. Make it a third final blow. Shinbone there to clean up house. They may just have it.
My goodness, Jumpy Wizard having themselves a map on the Zenyatta. You know, ZXC on the sniper. Step aside, we got Jumpy Wizard snipe Zenyatta. Oh my. Just finding pick after pick. And Darkstar does get Shinbone. They pushed up pretty hard. It looks like they might have... Oh no, Ewan going down. I don't think they can touch. They can't. UBC, after dominating map number 1, takes a big L as Carthage Reds takes them to Havana. They pull out the Sigma, and they absolutely dominate this map.
You got to give credit there to Ferocious Pig at the end. Jumpy Wizard's going to get the play. I actually want to see this from this perspective because, like, this was insane to at least watch on the kill feed side. At least gets one, just sniping away, getting another, and of course, final blow here onto the Ramattra as well. But the bigger thing about that round 2 was right at the end. I don't know if you could see it, but there was the accretion that hits Ewan right at the end, trying to get back to the point. So that saves the last overtime push as well. And at the end of it, UBC, again, going on the attacking side, thinking that they could push up numbers. Instead, Carthage on the defensive side with the Sigmund all wins it. And not even needing to swap and not even worrying about the Ramattra at all is because that Jumpy Wizard keeping the Zenyatta Discord Orb on Darkstar all the time. No push-up power, no nothing for you. That was the key for the win.
Because I got worried when Shinbone pushed a little too far forward to try and stop him from touching because I saw Ewan was coming. But that accretion rock coming in to stop him, finding the kill was absolutely everything. Carthage Firebirds Red able to tie up this series, and it's very much feeling like this first series. Let's hope that it doesn't end like the last series for the Terps, as we are going to take a quick break, folks. It is tied 1-1. We have another series on our hands. We'll see what these teams' map pick is going to be, as we have Flashpoint is map push is map number 3. We'll be right back.
What do you make of this up here? Just showed up in the yard a couple days ago.
Is a dog been digging in here?
I don't think so, dude. That goes way down in there. Seriously, did you just lose your meat stick?
Yeah.
Oh, no. There's something in there, dude. Just leave it.
Are you kidding me?
We'll just head to us. Just leave it.
The hell with that.
Oh, yeah, there's something in there.
Want one?
Thank you.
It was worth it.
Back here with a 3 versus 6 game between UBC as well as Carthage. Lead right now, score is 1-1, all tied up, 283. Back on Lijiang Tower on the night market and Garden Savannah, all Carthage College with a 1-0 win. Firebirds tie up the series in a very dominant game 2, dominant game 1 for UBC. Ray, does this remind you of anything? Game number 3 comes up between a 1-1 tie game in Push coming up now, so maybe no more Sigmas involved. It could be, maybe not. We'll see, but either way, we're tied up at 1 apiece.
Yes, we're still waiting for. Are we okay? I was gonna say we're still waiting for the ban and map pick, but we did get the ban, so we're not gonna follow complete suit. Esperanza is on the ban list for Carthage, so we either go into Coliseo, Runasapi, or New Queen Street. If I had to take a guess, just based on teams' favorabilities, my guess is Runasapi, but never underestimate New Queen Street and the weirdness that brings.
Yeah, I mean, it would be kind of the weird curveball, if you will, for the for the New Queen Street. I mean, hey, even Coliseo. I mean, well, Coliseo is more long range of anything, so the Sigma gets back into play there. So I'm assuming if you're British Columbia, you're not. No, you're not doing that at all. So yeah, you feel like the only pick left to go would be Runasapi, and I mean, is that what they're going to pick here? Esperanza was the ban. Runasapi is going to indeed be the map pick here for UBC. Return in kind. And again, if we're going to go toe-for-toe repeat of the last game, Lijiang Tower went the way of Illinois Wesleyan. It went back on over to the Terps on the second map, albeit Circuit Royale versus Havana here in the series. Push and Flashpoint all went the way of IWU. So can UBC play the same game here? We will find out. No swaps on either side. Same lineups that we've had here in the last 2 games. But Ray, I mean, no more Sigma. Does Carthage still have what it takes to put on the show?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see Sigma on a map like this. I mean, what I have seen for the most part is Ramacha Orisa, if you're going to play Ground and Pound, and then if you're going to play Dive, or Mauga, but Mauga dead. And then if you're going to play
or so
Dive...
we believe. I mean, you casted it the other day, so...
that's a whole different story. I'm not going to bring in my past PTSD into this. But... And then if we see the dive, it's either Winston Diva. I've seen Diva a little bit more often than I have seen Winston, but we see Carthage Firebirds. They saw how well they dominated on that last map, and they're like, hey, let's die on this hill that we know we're better than them at Sigma. But you're not going to get the Sigma mirror, and it's not going to be a map that's much more favored toward the Sigma. So how will it go for the Firebirds this time about?
Also the big thing, too, unless Jumpy Wizard is going to switch back over to the Zenyatta, you're not going to have that pressure either of that Orb of Discord. In fact, no switches at all either. So you had the Zenyatta before with you to give you that Orb of Discord pressure that Darkstar couldn't even push up on. No punches, no shields, no nothing. Otherwise, he was going to get melted. So you now no longer have that. Instead, you're probably relying on an Orbital Raid to do enough damage for you, but you're still in a dry fight situation right now. And even one fight can start snowballing away. So what does Carthage do in like return of facing off against the Ramatra? Well, so far, low health bars. That's all it is right now. Shinbo's down to half health, and Monster's going to find a good shot onto Jumpy Wizard as well. Juno in a lot of trouble. Monster's in a lot of trouble. Good thing you had good heals as well. Deflect is out, but it's not going to do much of anything. Back off game for Carthage. UBC takes first fight.
Yeah, Shinbo's got to force to bet. You cannot afford any late staggers. As a 5, you got to be able to re-engage pretty quickly here. As a lot of flanks available on a map like Runasapi. Great Ravenous Vortex.
Good Ravenous Vortex, at least the counter right now. So get back to the team. We'll reset and we'll regroup here as it'll be one more fight for the checkpoints. Still another dry fight here, but it looks like the dive in, they're just going to run right past it. Accretion is there, but how much longer can Ferocious Pig stay alive? Monster yet again starts us off with the first pick. That's on the Jumpy Wizard, and Darkstar's just going to keep punching away. That's traded out for Ewan, though, but you would take the tank over the DPS any day. But as I say that, backline goes down, your Sojourn goes down as well. They do get the checkpoint for it, so forward spawn's activated, but Carthage needs to regroup.
Exactly. So with the forward spawns activated, UBC has no problem just looking to back out here and re-engage in the mid-ground here because all their teams are going to have these respawns right here.
So they regroup. They allow them to get their forward spawns and back to the team. They don't even get past midpoint as well, so they'll still have forward spawns even if this fight was kind of prolonged. Diva online with the Kitsune Rush online. Do they decide to use it? Darkstar's at 80 as low health bar, but 80% to an annihilation. Thomas will go in kind. Darkstar again falling also low health. but still somehow staying alive, gets the reset on the armor as well. Monster goes down, they'll trade out Genji, but Thomas also down as well. K-Bot not dropped the sound barrier in the nick of time to save Thomas. Fight looks like it's going the way of Carthage, but Darkstar Monster turning it all the way on its head, and the Sigma falling also low, has to use a kinetic grasp just to stay alive for right now. Jumpy Wizard swats to the Zenyatta, but it's too little too late for the fight. Checkpoint still stays with Carthage. Fight goes to UBC.
The Zenyatta swap almost allowed Carthage to get that because they were able to throw a lot of discords on during the flux that came on, but at the end, Monster did Monster things, was able to find picks and stay alive just by having like 15 health, was able to do enough damage to allow the rest of UBC to get those pickoffs. Still a blade available for Ewan, and there's no support ultimates built up, so this can be deadly.
Yeah, well, the blade is out as well. Ewan's got the Orb of Discord on as well. Not afraid of it whatsoever. 2 slashes away. Darkstar punching as well. They're going to get 100 meters. And now this is the part of the game gets way too dicey here for UBC, or for Carthage. You're running out of time to get back into this game.
This is where I feel like Runasapi has been different from other push maps, where I've just seen so many, just because of the nature of it and how flanky it can be, a lot of teams have come back from big deficits on this map, but I do agree they need to get control of this cart and start getting some meterage soon.
Yeah, they gotta find something. They gotta find anything at this point. They're down 122 to nothing. A blade from Shinbone might help. 1 kill already, but Monster able to deter that, and thank God you had a Kiriko as well right there to put the Suzu down. Transcendence will come up for Jumpy Wizard, but Jumpy Wizard actually went back to the team, to the backline to save health for a little while. Only problem, Annihilation melts away Ferocious Pig, and now you're down to tank as well. The uphill part is finished. Back to the straight point, and now it's looking like final fight territory.
Yeah, they don't win this fight. I think this card's going to get delivered. They will have a flux, but that's it as Thomas has Kitsune Rush.
Kitsune Rush is out. Gravitic Flux is going to come up as well. Only leads up to a Lucio, who still gets back into the nick of time. Has a sound barrier as well. K-Bot's there. Gets everybody in it before Darkstar can get hit by the accretion to stay down as well. 1 kill already down. No Orb of Discord either. Well, welcome back to Deja Vu, folks. A completed map on push. This time, it's UBC's time to shine.
And I'm not gonna lie, I think that was a similar amount of time as the previous series. I think that was roughly 4 minutes. What was that?
4 minutes and 25-second game. That was faster than that of Illinois Wesleyan. It was 11 seconds better. And somehow, some way, I don't know how you can even make it 11 seconds quicker as well, but highlights will show you otherwise.
Yeah, it was a combination of a lot of things. Monster had himself a series. I mean, not that Monster he just hadn't called Monster's name a lot in this, but on this Sojourn, on this map, they went absolutely sicko mode. And Thomas on the Kiriko was constantly able to build up these Kitsune rushes, man. It was a sight to see.
I mean, this entire team from Carthage just getting run over by UBC. I'm getting whiplash from all of this. I mean, we go one domination, literally just one dominant map to another on the flip side, and then we go back to the flip side of that. We're literally just copying the script that we had from last game. Now the question is,
from last game, we're getting a reverse sweep on this.
Yeah,
on this Flashpoint.
Let's find out, right? I mean, let's go to Flashpoint. You've only got 2 picks here, so no bans on either side. You've only got New Junk City or sort of Vasa for following suit. We're going New Junk City here as well. Who the heck knows? But it would be, if we're following the script, like Ray said, 2-0 start, both of them being 199s, and the third map goes 199 the other way, and then 100-0, 100-0 to end on a reverse sweep. That would be the script. If we're following that script right along here, this should be a 5-point game. But we're not going to NJC. It looks like we're going to the other map. Saravasa comes up next.
Which, again, this is classic, Flashpoint map that we tend to get. So it's not a huge shocker, which I'm excited for. It's my preferred Flashpoint map. If you tell me I got to go play a comp game on Flashpoint, I'm like, all right, send me to Saravasa.
Right.
To me, Saravasa is just a little bit more straightforward. There's more intricacies in New Junk. I'm just a simple guy. New Junk City introduces high ground and a hole in the middle of one of the points. I'm like, nah, I just like simplicity. But Saravasa for UBC, this could be their ticket to the second round. For the Firebirds, They got to win this or they are headed home. No losers bracket.
Yep, no losers bracket, win or season done, at least inside of the bracket. Everybody fighting for at least a good shot for divisionals right now. East bracket on their own, West Central bracket on their own, all playing for the April 11th championship that all divisions do. But for UBC on the cusp of it, to start this game, to start their quarterfinals out, Carthage, like you said, must win game for here on Saravasa. And I like that you say yes. I like the simplicity of Saravasa, right? No ups and downs. Although if you're flanking, there might be a little bit of a down before you get to that uphill, but I digress. You're looking at still plenty of at least familiar points to you when you're playing this map. And what we're going to be unfamiliar with is an Orisa start, because Ferocious Pig is flashing that so far.
Which I like that. It gives you the beefiness, the survivability, the tankiness to be able to play up against the Ramacha that Darkstar's been playing. And I like that they're going with the Juno Brig with it, because you don't necessarily have to play Lucio with this, so it's a lot more healing. So again, it's still going to be on the onus of UBC to play fast and furious with this Lucio Kiri.
So let's see who gets there first. It is UBC that gets there to the middle first and foremost, so they will have priority on the point to start. Carthage has to go in. ZXC falling oh so low thanks to a secondary shot from Monster, and will even fall over thanks to a follow-up by Ewan. So Carthage already having a run for dear life. UBC, Ewan's got 3 final blows. Might even make it another here at this point.
As they're looking for a 4th, and they're going to get back to spawn. But look at that already. 55% ult charge and counting. And again, that's how you have to play this. If you're the side of UBC, you got to go fast, you got to go quick, because the long sustained fights, you're going to have more healing available if you're Carthage.
Carthage right now looking for at least an answer. They don't have priority on the board, but we know that can even change in an instant here on Flashpoint. Nobody's got ultimates, but like you said, Ewan the closest one at 70%. A couple of more shurikens lands that up being a blade in the very first point, which is kind of rare if you think about it just in terms of final blows and everything. But Ewan's already down to half health. Gets shot by the secondary Rogan, has to pull up to deflect already. That's a very low health bar on that Orisa. Brig is there to die, but that Revenus Vortex is just going to eat this Brig alive. Even though Line can't get out, but fortunately enough for UBC, they don't got to worry about much more now, because Shinbone is out to die and out to the rack. They got to back up already. They're just trying to retreat, and they're taking so much damage.
Blade available for Ewan. Let's see what he gets.
Blade goes out, gets at least 1 slash away. This is probably going to clean up house with Shinbone's right there. Dashes onto Ewan at the same time, but there's going to be no chance at this point, right? Nothing doing at all. Clean 100-0. Much different than the script we had earlier.
That was an important pick, too, for Ewan getting the Brig that basically was like, nah, you can't even afford to get aggressive and push because you lost one of your healers. As now we're going to rotate toward, it looks like...
Temple next.
Yeah. Yeah, we got Temple coming up for the next one. And it's a great RNG role for UBC because they can just quickly rotate to the point and take control of the spacing and positioning.
Yeah, big difference here. I mean, in a map like Flashpoint, you need to have quick macros here, and that's exactly what the Lucio provides for you. But ZXC with the first kill, and that already makes the Jumpy Wizard use the orbital ray. Annihilation to trade in kind. There's a lot of low health bars, but the lowest one comes from Darkstar, who no longer has anything. First fight win for Carthage on this map is going to give them the first flip on Temple.
And what a team fight win that was, Clutch Key. Able to trade out... excuse me?
Fat Finger?
I was gonna say you traded out the enemy's overclock and annihilation just for your orbital ray, but then they waste the overclocks. I mean, at that point, it's just moot point.
Yep.
Double support ults for UBC to re-engage the sound barrier. It's gonna be important, but Ewan's down.
Ewan's down already. So is Monster. That's already both of your DPS is down 50%. What do? You fall off the map. You reset, so you got one more fight left to go, and you figure that in UBC. You wish that maybe you could have used one of those ults to engage, but that was a very quick engage from Carthage as well.
It didn't really cost anyone anything, I think. So UBC will still be able to re-engage with their support ultimates, but the difference is Devour Line will be able to use their Kitsune Rush for this fight as well if they need it.
Ewan gets out of dodge just in the nick of time, falling solo health, but they will have another fight to play with. Kitsune Rush is out to the even touch. Terror Surge is out, but it's not going to be enough time. The Sound Barrier is out from K-Bot to stave off the pressure from Ferocious Pig. on the Terror Surge, and it's going to be a flip onto the point. Good sound barrier, good trades. Carthage caught off guard.
Still, they did have to use both their support ults, and they only used the Terror Surge if you're Carthage, so you were able to continue to bank the Blade and the Kitsune Rush of your own, so they have the tools to re-engage. The only hope for UBC to keep things going is Ewan getting a massive Blade right and early.
They have a Kitsune Rush to pair alongside of the 110 swing, so see if the Kitsune Rush is paired up alongside of it or if it's just used as an engage tactic right now. Nothing there so far. Orisa's kind of into the back line. Blade is out from Shinbone, but Shinbone's taking a lot of damage. Suzu saves for a couple of moments, and it's going to be enough time for Shinbone to go ahead and clean up for 3 as well. So we're going to go back and forth to start us off here. It is 1-1 on either side.
That's what you like to see is, despite how that first point went, Carthage is able to take the licks, come back kicking, and absolutely dominate on the second point. As we saw, side of Shinbone says, look, Ewan, anything you can do, I can do better. I'll slice and dice your team.
Yeah, now we go to a very close point, and Carthage very fortunate to have priority here. We go to the Ruins next, as they will have at least a start with the Kitsune Rush for D.Va Online. That kites them all the way back, but is the kite off just enough here to hold on to the point because they force them back. So the Kitsune Rush, no kills come from it, but that is going to be, from the looks of it, point start here for Carthage, unless UBC want to play a little bit more aggressively, which they do. The point does unlock, and now here we go with the fight on, and it's going to be at least the Nemesis form out and about at the same time. Blade comes out, Annihilation comes out at the same time, and Darkstar's going to find one out of it to find the follow-ups as well. So despite the Kitsune Rush start, UBC kites off well, and they're going to get the fight win for it.
And again, I mean, you were hoping to only get that with the Blade if you're UBC, but, you know, throwing in the Annihilation as well is not too bad of a choice because you also got ZXC to use the overclock there, so it was at least a 2-for-1 trade. You get control of the point, and you still have your support ultimates and fellow overclock to work with. The only thing I'd be slightly worried about is the overclock from Jumpy Wizard, but again, you have both a Sound Barrier and a Kitsune Rush to really try and deal with that.
Kitsune Rush Sound Barrier on UBC's side, and also the overclock. Carthage has a Terror Surge Orbital Ray, but the Orbital Ray is going to start this one off, trying to lead them one in. Terror Surge has at least 3 people inside of it.
Oh,
and
that was the Ajax!
That was a Sound Barrier as well. That was an Ajax from K-Bot too, so the Ajax, an unfortunate situation, gives Carthage the point back. Oh no.
Oh man, but again, you did get to use both of the ultimates they had online if you're Carthage. I mean, Devout Line is very close to Kitsune Rush, but Monster has the overclock. They've been having themselves a series since map number 3. Let's see if they can come through again.
Oh, a near shot hit there. Shinbone's UC able to come back to the rest of the team in time. Now Kitsune Rush comes out from Thomas. They got a kite out of this, but it's going to be an overclock to pair alongside of it. Overclock does a lot of damage inside of this thing, and this Orisa stuck in the corner. Can you live for much longer, Ferocious Pig? That answer is going to be no, unless your healers are going to help you out with a Kitsune Rush in trade, but you can't even do that because now the Kita goes down, the Orisa's down, fight win, back to UBC.
And UBC, once again, with the way the ult have been rotating, now they'll have Blade and Annihilation once again for what will be Carthage's last chance to try and flip this point back in their favor. They have the Kitsune Rush. They should get the Blade and the Overclock, so they have tools to flip this point.
Well, they're going to use the Blade from Ewan to start this one off. Darkstar also has an Annihilation available. Suzu is there just in the nick of time, fortified there to also stave off that damage. So they get Ewan, they get K-Bot down. Is it worth an Annihilation to hold on to this point? Maybe not. Here, they will reset. They'll get another fight, but this is a little bit of... Monster might be able to make the comeback here. That's already 2 kills. Here comes the Ramontra. Is the Annihilation going to be used to try to counter? Because that's also a Ravenous Vortex that eats up the Kiriko at the same time. They're turning this all the way on its head. Monster is popping with already 3 final blows. They're not even going to kill Monster for it. Instead, it turns all the way on its head. UBC is going to cap.
And then you were questioning whether they were going to use the Annihilation. They still win the point without even needing it. So now they have that tool of engagement for the next point. I mean, honestly, they're probably going to take, considering Carthage is going to have almost 4 ults to use on this next point, you know, just with an Annihilation, it's not going to be enough to withstand all that. But if this fight goes on long enough, you will get your support ultimates online if you're UBC.
Darkstar does have Annihilation still, but you're right, 4 ultimates coming up on the board here. ZXC also falling very, very low health thanks to the pressure that is being put on. Now they'll switch sides to the staircase, to the grand staircase of the Gardens. We will go for UBC's at least starting position. K-Bot does have a Sound Barrier to use. Orbital Ray will kick this one off, as well as Annihilation and Sound Barrier on both sides. Shinbon's going to pull out the blade. See if this does anything for it. Soundbarrier does delay enough time, but not enough for K-Bot to stay alive. Annihilation pops, though, gets the trade in kind. So who's going to take the first flip on this point? It is back and forth we go, but it's Darkstar that finds the Ravenous Vortex help, and the Kiriko's the only one left on point. UBC able to take point.
I think if you UBC, I don't know why they used Kitsune Rusher. They didn't need it, and you basically make that an even trade, because that would have been a 3-for-2 trade as UBC winning the point when they only committed 2 for Carthage's 3. But that late Kitsune Rush engage, it's now 3-for-3, so it was more of a fair trade. Because now we get dueling overclocks for this next fight, but the key is UBC should have Ewan's Blade if they so want to use it to clean up some of these overclock damages.
Well, overclock is already popped here from ZXC. That doesn't find any kills. Thomas falling low for it, but nothing there either, so they regroup, and now Monster's going to use the overclock to trade. They will trade out 1 for 1, but it's a Kiriko for a Juno, and instead it's scrappy fight over and over again, but you figure that the win here goes to UBC. Ewan's got the last 2 here. Carthage in desperation mode now.
They're going to have one last opportunity. ZXC going to go over to the Tracer now so they can guarantee a touch. As Ferocious Pig is just now respawning, 80% and counting. Kitsune Rush available for Devour line. Ewan has the Blade. Will this Kitsune Rush give the sustain and fighting power they need to flip the point, or does Ewan come through with the Hero Blade?
Blade can be big, and the Blade would clean up everything here. Kitsune Rush to touch the point is good. Lucio was also there at the same time. Let's see if the pop-out is there. The Blade comes out from Ewan, and the Blade's going to find at least one onto ZXC. Looking for the Kiriko as well. Has to use the deflect for a couple of moments. Ewan falling oh so low, and Ewan puts it back to Blade. Trade fights on Shinbone there. They use the Terror Surge. Captures 3 inside of there. They are able to stay alive.
For now, as they keep their chances of not being sent home. Shinbone going to have a Blade, but that's a lot of tools at UBC's disposal. Both support ultimates and annihilation. I don't know if this Blade is going to be enough for Shinbone.
See if it is, because it's got to be big. Shinbone's Blade has to be big. Maybe even an Ajax would help you out. K-Bot's Ajax before. Maybe a second one can help your team out and turn your favors at this point. 50%. Here comes the Blade. Sound barrier in time, just there in the nick of time. You can thank your lucky stars. K-Bot Dark Stars are now on for the annihilation to clear out the point. Shinbone, though, is still finding a way to get picks in the back line. That's 3 for the Genji already. Darkstar finally ending that rain. The sound wave isn't enough to boop him off the map. Still trying to keep this online, though. They are still fighting for this point. Ewan, though, gets the back line. It's just up to the 2 supports now of the Kiriko and the Lucio versus non-supports on the other end. Jumpy Wizard, though, is going to fall down. Ewan doing enough with the help of the Ravenous Vortex. Clears out the point. They're still in time for another touch here, maybe, for Carthage. Gets onto the Doomfist, gets knocked away for a couple of moments. Kitsune Rush is out. Can somebody touch? Yes, it will. Shinbone's there. Gets a 1 trade, but nothing to offer otherwise on the dealt hand. They still find a way on the Tracer. Ferocious Pig goes down. Tracer's going to be knocked down as well. Lucio there just a touch, but this isn't going to last for much longer. And Akitiko can only stay so far alive. UBC Premier, a similar score to game number 1. Division 4 moves on. Carthage out. UBC stays into the semifinals.
Again, it felt very similar to the previous series where one team was very good at segment compositions, brought them to the weird, interesting map, whether it was Circuit or Havana, were able to dominate in that situation. But when it came to the full-on, let's get into these maps and brawl it out, UBC was the far superior team.
Yeah, and at the end of it as well, that you felt like there was the potential to go back and forth earlier on, but at the end of it, Carthage just could not find it. As we go through the highlights throughout everything, and this was a very, very scrappy start, so you felt like Carthage could try to keep up here, and even an overclock pulse bomb combination, you felt like, even if it was 183 in the end, kind of felt like it started to kind of get scrappy, but at the end, in map number 2, go back to Gardens, a clean 100-0 there on Havana. This is where the fortunes turned, kind of staying on the same script as was our last game with IW winning that out. But at the end of it all, it's still UBC that comes out on top. And granted, the Ramacha are making some moves, and hey, it's got to be a Ram meta after all, huh?
Yeah, Ram, Marissa, mostly Ram though, as again, the Genji plays from both teams were awesome. ZXC and Monster dueling it out on Widow and Sojourn from time to time. Thomas on the Kiriko, man, they played so well, especially those last two maps. I felt like they were just building up to Kitsune rushes constantly. That's big time when you got a Kiriko who can just constantly always have an ult up.
Yeah, remember, folks, you always endorse your supports at the end of your games. Give them your flowers. You got everything there. And as they move on into the semifinals, again, much different than Division 1 or 2. No double elimination. Here it is single elimination. Win and advance, win and survive, lose and lose, and you're eliminated from the season. So coming up here next for UBC Premier, they either get the number 2 seed in the University of the Cumberland's Patriots or the Pioneers Crimson team, but either way, not a bad start for them. After all, as once again we go back, look at our maps. Lijiang Tower 2-0, going 283 final percentage. Havana 1-0, clear win for Carthage on the Firebirds, thinking they could come back, but Runosapi all fight wins and not a single fight lost there. UBC completing the map in 4 minutes and 25 seconds, and Suravasa at the end of it, 100-0 clean market. Temple goes their way as well, 163 and a win off on Garden. So here's what the bracket looks like right now. Grand Canyon University advances on as the number 1 seed in a sweep 3-0. So do the Cumberland Phoenix 3-0 over Southwestern Oklahoma State. UBC Premier you just saw win 3-1, and like I said just now, University of the Cumberland's Patriots up against the Pioneers of the University of Denver. That game going on to determine who's moving on into the semifinals, and there is no upper. This is quarterfinals, semifinals, finals. That is it for this side. So we start to wrap up here, Ray. Last thoughts of our day, man. 2-3-1s, and every single point has just been dominant. I think we had a fun day.
Yeah, I'll give you guys a quick update on the other bracket as well for Division 4 East playoffs, as those 3-2s have been settled, those Map 5 bangers. North Georgia, the 2 seed, taken down University of Waterloo 3-2. Very close one. And in the 3-6 matchup, BU Red, the number 3 seed, able to take down Messiah Esports 3-2. As we also mentioned, Drexel took the 3-0 over Terps Academy, and Anna Maria College looks like they got a 3-0 over Wright State. So that one is all in the quarterfinals as well.
Yep, so all of our quarterfinals are starting to wrap up here. The next matches for these teams in their playoffs comes by the way of April 4th around the same time as well. So pretty much all the matches kind of determined up, but they'll be ready. April 4th will be the semifinals, and of course everywhere else, April 11th will be the championship rounds for all divisions. So cannot wait to see that, and a special kind of bracket to end out all on the way to nationals, of course. So that'll be a fun journey to see where everybody lands up at the end of that. Special thanks. We'll wrap things up right now. I think it was a great day overall. 3-1 final score. Special thanks goes out to Caroline as well as Hippie for their work behind the scenes, and a great shout out to all 4 of our teams that have played out here for tonight's NECC matchups. For my partner to Try Hard Ray, we thank you guys for watching. We'll close it out here with some highlights to end it all. So watch all the dominance that happened and all 8 points of what we saw here throughout today. Thanks for watching the NECC, everybody, and until next time, take care, everybody.